that was enough for me.
I am ready. Are you ready?
Spicy. They can hear us. Hello.
Let's go.
Bro, yeah, I'll be honest. It's even weird me saying the hello again. To be real with you. Like, we're like, what's it been, bro? Like 3-4 weeks, probably, right?
4, I think. Is it 3? All right, maybe 3. Maybe this is the 4th one. Yeah.
Nuts. But what's up, everyone? Welcome to this week's episode of the Predcast. I am back. Nice to see everybody. Thank you so much for you guys chilling out here on the live chat. Don't forget, guys, we do run these videos live on Wednesdays, typically 7:30 p.m. Eastern. This one is a little bit later, had to adjust for a few schedules here and there. But then we do post these after the fact the following day on YouTube. So please look out for those. If you do miss anything, just make sure that you watch it on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, and such. But in its own, again, so this is the Predcast, guys. Essentially what we're going to do here is we go over Predecessor, recent news, recent events. We try and get developers here and there, which we have a spicy guest here with us today. And before we actually get too deep into it, let's actually get our introductions going. So if we could, in this specific order, let's get Alex, Pinzo, F6, Bearded, then myself. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, if you could.
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Alex, so I'm lead designer at Predecessor. Yeah, I'm super happy to be here. It's like 2 a.m. for me, so bear with me. I have been asleep and I woke up again, so it's all good. But yeah, I guess we can get into it a bit deeper, but yeah, that's me.
I greatly appreciate the grind that you're doing for this. That says a lot to us. Again, and I shout out you devs for one, you guys reaching out to me to get on the show, to come out here and talk to the community. But you even messaged me, hey, I just want to make sure I'm gonna go to sleep. I want to make sure I'm set, ready to go, because I want to be there on time and everything. Yeah, you went to bed middle of the day just to wake up to be here for us. So I speak for the community. Thank you. We greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
No worries. I just have to negotiate with my kid, right? She's going to be up at 6:30 no matter what happens. So
True. Get that caffeine flowing, bro.
Oh.
But yeah, I really do appreciate it. That's actually insane. So thank you. Pinzo, want to take it away?
Yeah, I'm Pinzo, streamer, YouTube content creator. Mostly do Pred stuff. So yeah, you can catch me. I'm live every day on Twitch around 2 Eastern time. Videos go live every day, every morning. So you guys want to catch those, that kind of thing. I'm at Pinzo on all my socials. So yeah, you guys can see me there.
Did I hear a time change? You normally do 1 Eastern. Now you're doing 2 Eastern?
Yeah, I've been doing things in the morning. I've been busier in the morning.
That's perfectly fine. I just want to make sure. Like I've been listening to you. I'm like, wait a minute. Well, he says 1 Eastern. That was 2 Eastern.
It's between 1 and 2. Some days it's some days it's closer to 1. Usually it ends up closer to 2.
Yeah. All right. There we go.
When you get back on that bowling league?
We didn't make it onto bowling league. It was super sad, bro. So I was on summer league, and then we signed up for winter league, and they told us winter league started Monday, and they told us on Friday that all the teams that were on it last year wanted to re-up, and then they told us that on Friday, so then we didn't get in. So I'm kind of bummed.
Bro, all I heard is we get Pinzo for another 6 months without schedule interruptions. Let's go.
Well, hey, there could be another league that pops up. If someone drops, I might be able to get on there, but.
All right, somebody DDoS him before he gets the invite. All right, F6. Go ahead.
What's up, F6? I stream over on Twitch and Kick, make YouTube videos here and there. Main thing I do is color casting over at the PCC. And then, I have hot takes every once in a while. So
a lot of the while.
Do you have hot takes? You've been pretty much a dev fanboy for the longest time here. Like anything that's like anybody says it gets better, you're like, hold up. No. The devs, you give them a break. That's how you've been all the time. I think you counter the hot takes every time.
It's not a hot take. That's just common sense. That's look, I just speak from a middle ground all the time. Sometimes to some people it's hot. mostly people that
if you're speaking from
just
the
don't
middle
agree.
ground all the time, you can't have a hot take. That's like literally warm, if anything. There's no hot with that.
He said we're Switzerland, but we're spicy. Okay.
If everybody's on the bottom edge of it and nobody's ever at the top, if I'm in the middle, that's still a hot take. That's all I'm saying.
Hey man, make sure you guys tune in, support the PCC, and also support F6 when he's casting 100%. And everything. Pinzo actually competes in the PCC, casts as well here and there. So
kind of
competes is a strong word.
Sort of competes, yeah.
He's a player. He's a player.
Mostly
sure.
Loses. We qualified,
That's
but
a strong word.
Hey, it still counts. Still counts.
Hey,
still
we're
counts.
better than, I mean, what, 8 teams made the tourney and there were 30 that signed up. So
24.
I mean, how many? 24?
Okay, you could have let him have the 30.
Well,
No. We don't give anybody
puts us
anything
in the
out here
top
when
third. I'll take it.
Aye. But yeah, make sure that you guys do support those. We definitely try to get as engaged with the community as possible, and having Predcast members in those is actually super cool. Bearded, if you want to take it from there.
Definitely. I just got dinner served to me, so that's awesome. Let's go with that. What's going on, everybody? Is I, the Beer Wolverine, your Michigan Wonder, excited to get to you episode 43 here. I can't wait to talk to Alex and get to know more about him and understand his story and how he got to where he's at. But I also want to actually have hot takes, unlike F6, about what's going on with the season 3 and everything going forward. So we're going to spice things up here. But talk about spice, let's go on to Windu.
Ooh, I like it. What's up, guys? I'm Windu, also known as Windu the Mace, and it's good to be back. I had a lot of family stuff going on. I'm not going to bore you guys with it. Long story short, was kind of indisposed here and there. But we're back to it. I basically do predecessor content as of late as far as gaming goes. I got a car YouTube channel and a Star Wars YouTube channel. Haven't been posting on those as much. I need to get back on that. But as we were saying at the beginning, this is the Predcast. Again, we're going to go over everything Predcast related. We might compare to other games here and there, but we'll try to keep it as predecessor focused as possible as far as the conversation goes. Now, given the fact that we have Senor Alex here, again, you're wild. I don't even know how you went to sleep and woke up for this, bro. I would have been out if I went to sleep. You would have seen me like 25 hours going with a Red Bull, just like, I'm here, bro. I don't know how you did that.
That's no lie. He's done that before. Like, he's like, hey man, I can't be on the show tonight. I literally just woke up. I'm like, all right, got it. And we run it. Like, we'll run. That was like future. Like, that was like fault partner panel stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's done before. So yeah.
No, I don't know, man. It's just I got a second kid newborn, so I don't know, like I'm not so old, so it's just I was just like, man, I saying that, right? Like yesterday, I'm like, I want to go to bed at 11. I go to bed at like 1 or whatever. So it's like sometimes, you're just like dead scrolling YouTube. But today I was like, it's like 9:30. I'm actually tired. Let's get some sleep, and it just worked.
Bro, you got a newborn. Even more shout out to you, homie. Congrats on the newborn. I literally have my second kid here in 4 weeks coming up.
Oh, wow.
It is not if y'all don't know, that shit isn't as easy as it looks. It's not like being tired will become normal for months at a time. So shout out to you for being here, bro, for real. But actually, I want to actually get right into your story, to be real with you. Yep. Talk to me first, Paragon wise. Did you play Paragon? What's your experience there? I want to kind of hear what happened on that side.
So I didn't play Paragon. There you go. That's pretty easy. I knew that it existed. I started in League a long time ago, back in university when it went open beta. I played League for a very long time, and I was kind of like burning out of League at the time Paragon arose, and I was just like, I just didn't. I was like, my friend showed it to me, and I heard of it, and I was like, oh, that kind of is interesting, but I just was like, I can't do another MOBA right now.
He said for my sanity.
Yeah, and then I think I was just moved to Germany at the time, right? Was starting a new job, so it was just something that I missed, unfortunately. Which is actually like looking back and seeing the community and meeting a lot of people and talking about the game and watching an insane amount of YouTube of it and trying to understand it and what we're trying to do here. I kind of got it, right? It was something special, and I definitely feel like I missed out. Like.
No, but yeah, you're on the wave on the back end of it. If anything, on the better wave, so to speak, on the back end of it, right? Now, let me ask around in the Predcast here as far as the co-hosts go. Did you guys, when's the first time that you guys found out that Alex was with the team? Was it just when that video got released with the skins and everything, or did you actually guys actually know before?
Nope, it was the Richter skin video.
Got you. So let me ask you, Alex, how did you even come across Predecessor getting into it? Because just because you heard of a game doesn't necessarily mean it's like, hey, I want to get involved in this project. Like how did that whole like gaming career aspect come about?
Like for joining Omeda specifically?
Yeah, let's focus on joining Omeda specifically.
Yeah. So I found out about the company before I found out about the game. So a close friend of mine that I worked with at multiple previous companies moved here. Like he took the move. Simon, I guess you guys know, right? Like a lead producer. He made the move. I was kind of interested where he had gone. Like it was we were working at Ubisoft together. We'd already worked at a previous company together. We're both very close, like geologically. He went in and I was like, what are you working on? And he's like this. And I started looking into it, started paying attention. We started chatting. We talked more and more. I kind of watched what kind of jobs they were posting, started paying attention to the community, and then kind of like was like, hey, got any roles that would fit my portfolio? And I had a chat with him and Robbie, and that was kind of like pretty quick decision. It sounded like an impressive game, and things were moving quickly, and the community was there, and at the time I was like very concerned about risk, right? Like I was leaving Ubisoft, which to be honest at the time, or a little bit before, like this, so I was at Ubisoft before I say, like, all of the scandals happened regarding sexual harassment and some, like, a lot of delays and failures, right? And before that I was like, Ubisoft's the kind of company you can work at for the rest of your life, and maybe go 10 years finally at a games company, that'd be nice. Leaving that was concerning, to especially go to an indie studio,
That's scary.
My life is, but like the game, the community, like the fact that it was there, it removed so much risk for me personally, and that's why I was able to like take the jump.
All right, couple questions. One, who's Simon? Like,
I was about to say, you said Simon, and I was like, maybe I've been missing.
Discord name, or what's their?
Man, like I'm not gonna pronounce it right. It's like SYMN, like.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay.
Simon, yeah.
Okay, I don't know Simon. All right.
No,
What's Simon's job?
He's lead producer.
Lead producer. All right. Well, we got
he's like behind the scenes, right? Like, so he's like supporting running the whole studio, the product, right? Like making sure the teams are functioning, like what we do in what order, defining deadlines, cutoffs and stuff, right? Like just keeping the whole thing going with the team he's building up there on the production side.
Okay. And how long were you with Ubisoft?
3.5 years.
You were there for 3.5 years. And where did you work before that? Like, did you go right into Ubisoft from?
No. I've been like working within like game design for about 10 years, and I started out in QA originally in the UK. I worked for Microsoft Studios. I was testing like Forza Horizon. That was like the game I was QAing. After that I moved to Germany to pursue game design, and I worked at some free-to-play companies over here, like browser games. So that was like a browser farm game. Worked on a match 3, then we worked on like an Unreal like PC like a battle arena game, but it didn't see the light of day. Then I went to another company to work on like a strategy browser PC game, and then I moved to Ubisoft after like a couple less 6.5 years or whatever. I don't even know, 5 years. I guess I went to
what
Ubisoft.
games with Ubisoft were you get your hands in?
Yeah, so I mainly worked on Far Cry 6. So the way Ubisoft works is they have multiple studios like all around the world working on one game, and that was a game led from the teams in Canada. Ubisoft Toronto and Montreal, but I was in the Berlin studio, and so we just had like a small part of the game, and there was like other studios that were supporting as well. So we worked on like a game mode within Far Cry 6. So there was these things called operations, which were like these like side missions that were unrelated to the campaign that you could run, and they had difficulties and a unique mechanic. And so I worked there as a senior game designer. And got promoted to lead while I was there, and helped lead the Berlin studio. After that, was ready to go off to go live, and we had finished. I did start working on Skull and Bones for a little bit to support them, but like the work we were doing there was on the social side of things. So we were working on like chat systems and party invites and playing together with friends and clans. But obviously that game got delayed as well. So, but that was like as I was leaving. So,
okay. Now, how was the transition from Ubisoft to Omeda? Like, what was it like? Was it pretty like? What's the word I'm looking for? Like a culture shock, like completely different, obviously AAA to indie dev, or was it actually a smooth transition?
I mean, it was smooth, right? Like there wasn't a problem. It was definitely like culture shock, you could say, for sure. It's like it's very different, and like AAA is very different to like free to play browser developers like in Germany, right? So yeah, it was definitely different. We went I went from like, I think it was like a 70-man team working on a small part of Far Cry, and there's like 1,000 people all over the world working on that game, to like 40 people at Omeda working on this kind of game. And it was also massive, and it was also like the content we're doing here is kind of bigger than what I was doing at Ubisoft as well, right? Like, so in comparison, so it was definitely coming in and being like, okay, more responsibility when I joined, more things to do, like more hats to wear, like lots of holes within the company that you kind of wanted to fill, or you felt like you could add value. So like, when I joined, like the community team was just building out, and I was like, I really want to help communicate more, and so I was involved in a lot of the community posts at the beginning, and trying to do that as we built it out. Now I've been able to step back, but yeah, it was like lots of spreading out and that was definitely different. So like bringing up the like changing the workload.
Okay. All right. Now, what is your, like, if you had to pick something that you've done right now for Predecessor, out of all the things that you've done, what is like the one thing that you like, you love that, like
that's your baby,
that was complete, like that was, I feel great that I finished that, like that, what was the one thing you have done so far?
That's an interesting question. I did not expect to have to answer that. I guess. Oh man, like I like it's going to be a controversial, but like so I was heavily involved in the matchmaking and implemented. Oh, no. Yeah, exactly.
He said, "Oh no."
So it was like my idea to do Glico, and basically tested and implemented a lot of stuff there, working on import and stuff. And obviously we, like, the team has been trying to fix it, and I was involved at least fixing the last issues that arose. And I think it's like the community may hate it, and I can understand why, and sometimes that's fully justified, but like the completion of that, it was like a fair undertaking. I was pretty happy with how it went in comparison. It wasn't the first time I'd done matchmaking before, and I learned a lot, and but generally I was pretty pleased with that contribution. Yeah.
All right.
So it's all your fault.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I will say it kind of brings to the light. I don't know what happened to my camera. Hello. There we go.
You turn the lights off?
Yeah, I guess. Pay the power bill. But no. So but it also does bring to the light. Like, a lot of people do forget. Like, even though something might not be, let's just say, like, perfect for the end result, there's still a lot of hard work that's being put into each individual step, right? Whether it's something that has to get reiterated later, whether it's something that's eventually going to get removed, or whether it's something that makes it to the final game, it still is a lot of work. Like it's still a-okay for you to be proud of that shit. Like it's still, you know, like you figured it out.
It's a stepping stone. It's a stepping stone to the current the matchmaking that we're gonna get. You know, the new one. You know, it got us. It gave us the ability to be able to play the game as in our current state. Like if we didn't have matchmaking, then it would have been a shit show even earlier than what we got going on. So no, that's great, and you can still enjoy something that didn't end up being the perfect situation, because like you said, you learned something from it. You know, you got to learn a lot, and then you're able to move on. And like I said, that's your current favorite. You know, when we get you on again, that's probably going to change. You're going to have something else completely different that's going to be your baby at that time.
Oh yeah, hopefully. And I mean, like it's always like the way game development works and the way the community reacts to certain things, right? Like individual contributors have, like, you know, we're all part of a team, we're all going in different directions and stuff. So like, but you have to kind of be proud of the things you do. And I'm generally proud of most of the stuff I do, and even when it doesn't go so well. But yeah, like I say, it's about like making sure you take those learnings and improve and do better and iterate, right? Like that's why we're here in early access, and yeah, it's why generally why I quite enjoy game development. So
all right, now let the community know. Oh, go ahead, F6.
I was gonna say, for the community itself, I know they're still kind of wondering exactly what you do. If you'd like to break that down for them, because a lot of people hear the name and then like they assume something. But
I was gonna ask that.
Description helps out.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
So what do I do? So yeah, I lead the team of the game designers, right? So there's currently like 5 of us in total. Some of them, like you met, right? You had the Monday on, Declan, Import, in fact, right? Like I guess you had most of my team on. And
who are we missing? Where were they at? Let's get them on.
Yeah, definitely. And Ray, wherever he is, needs to come on.
He's the one inviting me.
Yeah. Then you've collected him, man. Then you got the set, right? Yeah. So my main responsibility is like managing that team and ensuring that they're working effectively and efficiently and unblocked, right? Like I feel like that's my thing. So like they report to me, so I also manage them like as people. But then outside of that, on the project, right, I help craft the roadmap, both heroes and features, defining what we're doing. Like with Robbie, I'm you know, constantly discussing what should we do in what order. I guess all 3 of the roadmaps, like the ones that you see, are very heavily influenced by myself. Then defining basically the goals and visions of the features that the people work on. The designers then go off and create that stuff. I review it, provide feedback, both heroes and features, and then kind of monitor that throughout development and give feedback to all the departments, help connect the pieces, you know, help support multi-department relationships. But yeah, so I guess I have quite a like high level input on a lot of the content that comes out, not all of it, and less so. Like I said earlier, in when we went to early access, for example, the bundles, the EA bundles, like I had a heavy hand in crafting them. What was in it? What was the content? How were they balanced? Monetization, I have heavily impacted as well and worked on. And we can chat about that. I'm sure it will come up, right? Like skins, what skins we put out, skin prices, bundle prices, right? Like I very involved in that topic as well. So yeah, I kind of like spread over trying to support different people to complete their individual contributions.
Yeah, Doinks in the chat is like, yo, this guy's the Atlas of Omeda. Okay. No, yeah, so you're essentially, as far as like gameplay goes, or like the majority of game decisions, you're pretty much either steering the ship or right there next to
yeah, I would definitely say like involved, right? There are a lot of smarter people than me, thankfully, and really like my job is to, you know, make sure that their voice is heard and listen to them and take on that and make decisions based on that, or help them make decisions. It's definitely like there's like, I guess there's like 2 types of development that like very broadly that you can talk about. Is like sometimes there's like a creative director that has like a clear vision of what the game is, and every game is, you know, every decision he has like, or they have a super high impact on, and it's like crafting it out. And then the other thing is more like lots of people coming together to like build something together in the same direction. And I would say at Omeda, that's what we more are. And like my job is not to be like, hey, I think we should do it all like this, and I have this like clear thing, and we just like, you do this and you do that. I'm more like, you guys know Paragon, right? Like, you guys know the community, you are the community, work community, right? Like, I'm just here to facilitate and make sure everyone's like effective, right?
Bro, and honestly, you opened up so many Pandora's boxes right now in that one little thing right there, bro.
There's a lot of dangerous things to say in that.
I'm the bad guy, right?
I'll actually
in chat real quick. As long as he's not here, we can talk about skin prices.
I can't, bro.
And about skin prices. Are we talking about skins again?
Hey, man, it'll be all right. Now, I actually want to, out of everything that you mentioned there, I actually want to lead off on probably a subject that a lot of people want to know, specifically regardless.
Yep.
So you said you had a lot to do with bundle prices, like when the game first came out, etc. Console's right around the corner. We're all super excited for it, and we know that basically Predecessor is going to come into EA, into console, right? And it's already been made clear it's going to be pretty much paid EA at the beginning. Eventually, it'll be free to play down the road. Is console going to get? Is it possible to do the beginning discount like we got at the beginning? Is that a thing with PlayStation, or is it just going to be the prices that we currently have?
So I'm not gonna like confirm or deny it. I actually don't know. There's complexities with that. With the way PlayStation is. Like I've brought it up that it would be really good if we can do that. I'm not sure if we are going to be able to do that. But it's something we've discussed. Yeah, like the goal, at least for console right now, is that the bundles are available as they are, so that the people that felt like they're missing out like have the opportunity to get this content, because we were talking about changing them or doing something different for console, but like ultimately I was like, I think these people waited and they want this stuff, and they already feel like they're missing out, right? They miss out on like season 1 rewards, season 2 rewards now. Like that's something we hear and we care about, and it's like a really hard balance to do that with,
better to get to the finish line instead of extend that deadline by complicating it.
And so with that, right, like I would love it if we could do the same 2-week sale that we had on launch, because I think that's fair.
I was gonna ask about that. Yeah,
but I just don't know. Like at this moment, like there's like a lot of moving parts, but I definitely it's definitely something I discussed. Whether that will actually be the case or that's possible, I don't know.
True. Right, TBD. We'll see. We'll probably get more info as it goes. But yeah, I just want to start off with that one, because out of everything that you mentioned, I figured that would be, less cannon fodder sort of question. You know what I mean?
Less cannon.
Yeah.
So start him off easy,
right? When Robbie was on, or it was somewhere, maybe it was on here or he was somewhere else, and Robbie said basically we got to speak with our wallets as a community about these skin prices, because most of us as a community, we believe that these prices are pretty high. How is that looking on the inside? Are we speaking with our wallets enough, or are we not? Like, what do we got to do as a community to get these prices to drop a little bit more than what they are?
I mean,
yeah,
because we can vote with our wallets, is what we've been told.
Personal thoughts. Right? Obviously, you're a part of this, but like, do you think they're high in comparison to other games, or what's going on?
I mean, like, so it's been a hard balance, right? Like trying to find the price that makes sense for the content that we will be making, right? Like and how much it's going to cost us to make, right? Obviously, there's the controversy around like selling Paragon skins and stuff, and we can chat about that. That's unfortunately like a really useful tool that we've had to us, but like in the future we're not going to have any left, and we have to make our own skins, and those prices have to work for that. So it's been figuring that out, trying to compare to other games, trying to find a good pricing point. Like we're not listening. We are listening. We are discussing changes. Changing monetization is a complex machine, I am actively working on changes, and when I do that, I want it to be I want to make sure that I've like caught everything, because I don't want to make another set of changes, right? Let's say, right, and I'm not gonna go on and don't quote me on this, right? Don't clip me. But if we were to change prices, right, like up or down, right, it would be our goal to compensate the community for those, right? Like to accept that, hey, we're going to reduce the price, right? So like everyone that pay for that skin, that's straight up refund, right? Like, but then we probably want to go a little bit further. We want to make sure that's like fair and in a good place, and that people understand. I would also want to be transparent with that beforehand, so it's not as easy as like, hey, and this was happening, but it's like there's definitely like there's some real big issues, right? So people have their own opinion about the price. And I think that's super valid, and I think that's super fair, and I'm closely listening. There's also problems with the clarity of what each skin is, at what tier, at what price, why this, 100%. Why that, right? Like that's
100%.
Like that's like unfortunate, and we learn a lot from that, and understanding where what is making sense, what's not making sense, why it's not making sense, is like helping to refine that. And that's like one of the things that I definitely want to change, is like to make sure that that's like super crystal clear. But unfortunately, it's like, even though I say that, it's also really hard, because like no two skins are the same. Even if I tell you they're the same class and the same price, like you can already see that in game, right? Every skin is different. Every skin has more or less work done, or just hits better, right? Like and so finding a good balance there is definitely something that's really important. And then there's also like this final part that I realized afterwards, and that's like a full-on mistake, is like price perception, right? Like if I say something costs 1,600 platinum, and I say, how much is that? Like, what would you say?
$16.
$16.
$16.
Yeah, it's 15, right? Like, which is this weird problem where the minimum bracket defines the perception, or like that
that's a good point.
Really clean currency, right? Like conversion, like it's $5.99 for 600 platinum. It defines the
almost like 100 platinum per dollar, even though you get more as it goes up.
Fair, right? And I think that's good. In general, I think that's cool that's something that happens. But I realized afterwards that it is causing some issues further down the line, where like if I was to release a skin that costs $2,200, right? Like the people would assume that it costs $22, and I can't blame them for assuming that. But like in reality, when you buy the package, the platinum doesn't cost that much, and that's not the money that we're taking, and then that causes this weird disparity. And like that's also a problem I have, right? Like I would
perception versus reality.
I would rather perception line up with value, because then it's easier, right? So that's something I'm also thinking about as well. And I don't know if I can even solve this particularly, because I mean it's a problem that a lot of free-to-play games have, and it's also sometimes why their packages aren't as transparent, or create that kind of clarity, but it's like 100 for $1, and that's something I'm not sure about how I'm going to do. Like maybe the bundles just won't change at all, and we'll just live with that. But it's definitely like retrospectively a pain point for me for the system and how it was delivered.
You bring up a great point.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense, and I agree. A great point. That's because I was actually having this conversation earlier about perception, and that's it's something I hated it when I was in the Navy, because I was told it all the time. Perception's reality, even though like, and I'm not doing what you believe is I'm doing wrong, but it's perceived that way, so I can't change it. That it's like you as you grow older, you realize that it's like, okay, well that's really what it is, and it sucks. So it's like, what do you do in that situation? It's like, if like you to change that perception, you either got to change the bundle, or you got to change the skin or something, or something. You got to do something to make that match, and that's what you got to find that balance, or you just got to work with it and just kind of row up the upstream without a paddle sometimes, and it just sucks.
I actually have a question for you, Alex. So. Yep. I'll use myself as an example.
I've been asking questions.
Yeah, I know. Fair, right? I just okay. No. So a personal question, as far as like, what would you say to somebody like me? And I'm sure there's multiple, gamers out there like me, that we notice that the price isn't necessarily going to change anything immediately. Right now, I might not necessarily support that a skin might be 1,600, but I also want the fucking skin. You know what I mean? So I get the whole, vote with your wallets and everything, and I'm like, but bro, I want that fucking skin. I don't want to pay $1,600. But besides me having the platform of Predcast, for example, to voice my opinion, there's a whole bunch of people out there that are like, what are we gonna do? Just say in the general chat that we don't like that specific price of that specific skin? Like, what can somebody do as far as voicing their opinion without the whole vote with your wallet mentality?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, right? So like we monitor community sentiment, right? So we have reports coming in about like what are the topics people are talking about, how are they discussing it, are they talking about it positive, negatively, neutral, what are kind of comments that are coming out for that? So like just discussing on like, you know, that's like Discord, Twitter, Reddit, like in text specifically, this is like a really easy way, but then also like videos always make it to my desk anyway. So like, yeah, like talk about it, right? Like the same goes for any problem in the game, right? Like engage in it, discuss it, like see if other people agree with you, like get people to talk about the issues, whatever it is, and like then that's one of the ways that we hear and we listen and we validate, right? Like we put a lot of effort into fixing matchmaking because you guys were shouting about matchmaking a lot, and like we were like, okay, let's look at this, right? Like these guys are saying this, right? Like they're showing us screenshots from a meta city. Let's look into this, and you know, we look into it, we find bugs, right? And we found some issues that were like deep down in like a black box system that took so unbelievably long to find that I wish hadn't been there in the first place. And you fixed them and like instantly saw like the data then reflect that. So yeah, it's like paying with your wallets is important. Like talking with your wallets is important because we are monitoring data, right? And we're using that to do financial forecasts and figure out like where our profit margins lie, and like how do we run as a business once we run out of funding and like for year on year. But yeah, like just talking about it, like that also helps, right? Because there's more context there. You can explain where the line is, what's working, what's not, right? Like this is, I think, the thing that has worked the best, or the best source of feedback that we've got on it.
Yeah, I admit, because I'm literally wanting to buy that Serath skin, but I'm holding back. I'm speaking with my wallet. I'm holding back, but I want it. I want it bad.
Bro, I did it. That's what I'm saying. So, like, well, here's the thing. Honestly, for me, I could let it slide, right? New character, new model, etc. All that. I'm a Murdoch guy. When I see my lizard freak Murdoch, which I love, right? And then I see my little yellow, I'll just call him like construction zone Murdoch. I forget the name, right? Y'all get where I'm coming from. Like when I see those two, and I'm like, okay, comparable, but at the same time, I guess you could make the argument that they're in the same tier, but at the same time, prices might not be the same. I'm just like, I sit there and I'm like, yeah, like I bought it anyway because I want to use this skin. I don't want to wait like a year until adjustments. But at the same time, I'm like, fuck, bro. Like, I wish that the community could voice it in an easier way. Because not everybody's content creators. Not everybody's going to go to Discord. Like, there's a big minority of the community that literally just plays in the game, doesn't follow on socials, doesn't join Discord. They're just in the game, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, like, these players, right? Like, yeah, I mean, it's hard, right? It's not fun, and unfortunately, like whatever price point we set skins at, right? Like it's always going to be too expensive for some people, and
Fair.
Yeah, and good value for others, Fair. And it's really hard balance, right? And it's definitely really hard, and yeah, it's like it does suck because you know you're saying, but like I guess the thing is like. Yeah, it's just a hard balance. I don't really have a good answer for that. It's just like it's important that if you do disagree, or if it isn't expensive, that you can't do it. And arguably, if you do it, then you know that raises the question of where the line is. The thing is, it's not just you, right? Like we're looking at everyone. We're looking at the full player base, how they're engaging with our monetization systems, which skins they're engaging with, you know, like which price points. So yeah, there's like a lot going on there.
Which big segue, more skins would give you more data by all means, especially once you start adding more complexity, start defining those tiers that you were mentioning.
Yep.
Well, this spicy video that we got 9 months ago, can we get some elaboration on that? What's going on?
So this is an interesting topic that I do want to talk about, but I guess it's going to be a little bit hard, right? Like, so we are developing skins, right? We're developing them, some in-house and some with external partners to make sure, right? Like, the thing is, even if skins were ready, like, I would actively not release them right now. And I do that because, like, so I'm gonna come out and say, hey, like, Crashy, the content creator that you guys have on occasionally, like, he's been talking a lot about cadence, right? And we'll probably get into cadence anyway, right? Like, and there is some truth to how important cadence is at certain points in the game's life, and the same comes for skins games. If you go and look at how many skins League drops a month, or how many skins Smite drops a month, like, it's a lot, and it's frequent, and it's really important. So right now, like, we are trying to test the water as lightly as possible, provide content for you to engage with, get data on it, and understand the stuff. But realistically, I want to hold on to as much content for as long as possible so that I can drop content in a really healthy manner for the game when we have a vast player base to engage with it. Like, and that's really hard, right? But, like, that's unfortunately kind of one of the things we opted in for early access, right? Like, and it's really, really important. Like the worst thing would be is that we dry out too quickly, right? And this stuff is hard, right? Like, we're building pipelines, you know, we're testing things, you know, we're making skins, we're, like, learning about making skins, right? Like what's working, investing in one thing, and then being like, hey, this isn't returning the value. Like, we spent too much doing this, and it's not, like, not profitable, right? Or whatever, right? And that's like, oh, because the design was wrong, or we did this, or we did that, and like, we have to learn all of that, and we have to make those decisions. And it's best to make it now, because, like, we're in a super safe environment where, like, failure isn't, like, the be all and end all, and it sucks for you guys, right? I totally get that. And it's like, why are you doing this? Why are you not showing us? And we are, like, we try to use, like, Serath and Kira as a way to show
and instill faith
and build trust and get feedback, right? And make our own mistakes, right? Within that, but like we can't just be like some of our competitors, right? Like Overprime or something, right? Like they're in a different place and a different team, being able to do different things than us, and we're trying to get to that point. And even if we were at that point, it's like making sure that, like, when we hit live, and, like, that first year of live ops on, like, a fully released game is, like, we have the content to support, like, player engagement and the things that players expect in the market right now.
I mean,
so, talking about cadence in general, do you have something?
No, go ahead.
I'm going to switch the topic completely.
Go for it. You're
okay. Sweet. So for me, I'm just gonna buy a skin anyways, because I'm just gonna help you guys, support you. That's just my ideology on it. But talking about, like, cadence, when it comes to the roadmap, I believe I'm not a game developer. 99% of the community is not a game developer, and I feel like we have a misunderstanding on what a roadmap is to the development company. And I think, like, if you could explain that in a good way, I feel like that would alleviate some stuff. And that's, like, the first part of my question, and then I'll ask the second one after.
What is a roadmap? So for us, right, like, we have to be working so far in advance, right? Like, the paper designs of any feature of any hero need to be X months, half a year. It's as far forward as possible, in a way that makes sense, right? Like, we want to be developing for the current game, but it's going to take us ages, right? So the roadmap is a way of supporting, like, okay, what order do we do things in right now for what we deliver in 6 months, a year, and there's a huge feature list, right? Like, there's enough things that we could be adding to this game, and basically the roadmap is us organizing that list, prioritizing that list, feeling confident that the things we're adding make the most sense and what the players want, and will have the best return now or support the best launch possible, right? Like these are the kind of things we're balancing as well, right? Like we care about what you guys want right now and need to keep engaging with the game, but we also have to be like, okay, but like they don't care about this, but we need this, right? We need this for free to play, and so we're constantly balancing that. And then basically at the end, I sit down and I'm like, what can we commit to? And I'm talking to all the developers, and they're like estimating all of different features and where they are in different states and how complex they are. And it's like, what can we commit to? What do we feel safe doing? And unfortunately, development is pretty tricky when it comes to predicting how long things will take and foreseeing all the roadmaps. Like I would say some other industries are much better at this, and this isn't an Omeda problem, right? Like this is like an industry-wide problem that I've encountered in a lot of different places, where it's just like, as an industry, we haven't like there's like two problems. One, it's like creative and therefore there's like some unknowns. You can't just like logically block stuff out. But like, for example, in manufacturing, this stuff is like really clear and really well known, and it's super like, and they've spent a lot of time like adding science to this to make sure that like, hey, things will be delivered in a prepared time, and they hit those goals. And then game development it's just not as structured and well done. So yeah, that's also why things go wrong or things change. And then also, the second I drop the roadmap, we get a crap load of feedback from you guys, and you know, that brings in decision choices, mistakes, like changing directions, right? Like for example, in season 2, we added ranked to the roadmap, right? It obviously didn't make it, like. But it's not on the roadmap right now. That doesn't mean we're not doing it, or it's not designed, or work's not being done on it. But it's like the decision was made based on the feedback we got from season 2, where we were feeling and what we need to like get out of EA. It was just like, we need to prioritize other things, and that's the things we're going to focus on a little bit more. I don't know if that entirely answers your question. Feel free to follow up. But...
Oh no, it does answer my question. It's not necessarily a question for me, because that's what I preach, is like, there's a little bit more to a roadmap than just, oh, these are things that we're 100% going to release. Because from my background of running my own business, I understand like a roadmap is like, you're just shooting for the stars essentially, right? And then something just comes up and a decision is made after it, before it, and it just keeps changing and continuously in this continuous loop. And I think that the community just needed to like kind of hear it from somebody that's a developer from this side of things, to kind of like understand how much like it's a crucial part of like, it's never going to be like 100%, and it's something that is continuously changing, like you said, through feedback.
I'd love to add. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I'd love to add just one little bit of feedback there before you guys continue and dive into the next question as well. I will say, I think it's very important to reiterate to individuals that just because they might see, for example, 9 features on this roadmap, doesn't mean they're only going to get 9 features throughout the season.
Yeah, so I guess I can address that directly, right? So, like my plan, or our plan for the season 3 roadmap is like, maybe we want to try stuff a little bit differently, where it's like, maybe committing to everything all at the beginning is just not the right approach, and what I'm hoping is that we can do an update roadmap, right? Like we don't update and remove stuff and change direction. We update and give like more stuff, right? And other stuff. Like, there are things that we're working on that are not on the roadmap. There are things that I hope that I can deliver in season 3, or we can deliver in season 3, that are not on the roadmap. There are things on the gameplay side that like are kind of impossible to even discuss on a roadmap in this way. And that's all the stuff right there. Like the roadmap is really just like intent to provide direction and give feedback, and decisions are made to change those things or different directions. But yeah, I mean, well, I'm very hopeful that we will deliver more than is on that roadmap, and I have quite a lot of confidence in that, and it's just communicating that in a time where I feel that it's like healthy and that we can commit to these promises, because I really want I really don't want to repeat some of the decisions that were made in season 2, right? Like I we made some mistakes there, or mistakes when we made different decisions, and that they had impact, right? And people aren't happy with them, and like I think it's important to learn from that and try things a bit differently, and learn from these ones, right? Like maybe this approach also needs work, right? But it's really hard, like, because like maybe these roadmaps, like maybe we're just not ready to do roadmaps this long, or etc. And we need to work short. I need to find the right balance.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Pinso.
Just one thing, like, to add to the roadmap thing is there are some things that aren't on here that like are kind of by design not on there. Like I know Ace had talked about it a little in the creator Discord. Things like, new items or item reworks are things that just like are purposely not on there because that's not really like, they didn't think that was like a roadmap item. Like it's not a big enough, like it's not a big thing being added to the game to be a roadmap item, but that doesn't mean that, the items are going to be completely static or we won't get any new ones. They won't, that kind of thing for the next 7 months.
Yeah.
That was just not big enough to be on there.
I'd love to add to that. I do think that if people just look at the roadmap, perception, like we're saying, perception, reality, etc. Just looking at, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 features that are listed here at the bottom, and directly above it says, thank you. Directly above it says, this list is a show of intent. Some features may not make it during the season. It almost gives the impression that 9 would be the max, Whereas opposed to if you put a little caveat like that, but you have 15 and only give 9, well, the caveat was there. But if 9 is the minimum and you aim for more, I almost feel like the caveat couldn't be there because we're under promising, over delivering. You get what I'm saying? Like it's almost contradicting to, in a sense, when people read it.
No, it's still CYA though. I mean, I'll speak for that one, Alex. I think it's CYA because if something happens and they're only able to give you 8, something drastically happened, like we can only give you 8.
Fair.
They put that there. They covered their ass. It's not a problem. Again, a lot of people look at these roadmaps and they season 1, 2, and even 3 now. They're looking at these roadmaps and these are promises. They promise we're going to get this. Like, these are not promises because they have that little snippet on every roadmap. You go back, look at season 1, you'll see the little snippet say this is our projection, what we want to happen. It might not make it. Season 2 says the same thing. I paraphrase it. It's not exactly that, but they say them on all of them. And so that's what people get all up in arms about, how they didn't make it. They didn't give us everything we want in season 2. It's like, well, this was talked about. It said that it was, and not everything's going to be made, and it's understandable. So you got to understand the difference between a projection and a promise. They're not the same.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, like, putting it on the roadmap gets people's hopes up,
Yeah. I mean, it's a really hard decision when we make decisions that result in things not going through, right? Like the ideal world is we deliver on everything on every roadmap and more so, right? Like that's always the goal. And juggling the realities and change and it should be a hard decision to decide to not do that, because that's the whole point, right? Like, we're trying to be transparent, we're trying to give you that, and it's really difficult to commit to that stuff because like everyone wants as much transparency as possible, but like there's just so many unknowns in game development, and it's not even just that. It's just like the studio's building up processes. We're bringing in new people, right? Like, things are happening all of the time internally that are just like a part of running a company and building a game that like impact that and change things. It's just a lot of unknowns. So I really dislike that we promise stuff and don't deliver it, and I think it's really important that we don't treat it like this thing that we can just like throw out and not say. And arguably, I wish we could be more transparent, right? But that is also the issue, right? Like, if we say stuff, people get excited about it. It's really important, right? Like, the things that I say on this podcast, things that people have said before me on this podcast, like they impact people, and so we have to just be really careful, like, because when stuff goes wrong or things fail, like there's consequences to that, right? And that sucks, right?
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of roadmap, 1, what are your thoughts on Trello? And 2, did you guys talk about that inside about possibly doing a Trello or whatever and kind of showing that off instead of a roadmap style?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how we would show our roadmap and looked at a lot of other examples. Yeah, I'm not personally a fan of the Trello model, and that's probably why we also didn't go with it. Like, it was just not something that we were into, because like, yeah, I don't know if a certain amount of detail can also not help, right? Like, I think that they can be more complex to follow, harder to understand in regards to what's going on, and they can just be more like more ambiguity as well. I don't know. I'm just personally not a fan of it. And I think, yeah, it's not shareable as well. Like what I am personally a fan of like the one image roadmap, and I feel that it works well for people to engage on and talk about and reference. But yeah, I guess that's my take on it.
Okay. No, and that's fine. I personally like the Trellos. Just
Yeah.
I like seeing the, like, this is like our currently working on. This is like the next thing we'll be working on. Like, this is the future stuff. And then you kind of, you're able to see things get moved up, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it's a way for, in my opinion, it's a way for you guys to be transparent without actually saying anything. You go check the Trello and you watch something went from that's future, and all of a sudden now it's like, it's actually next month stuff. Like, oh, that means it's actually gotten closer. Like, okay, you kind of, you're able to see things get how it's moving in the factory or whatever. I like it that way, but understandable for other people.
Yeah, I mean,
not
like yeah, maybe that's something we have to discuss in the future, and could be a way to facilitate other stuff. I know like Epic's Game Store did this like very famously, the Trello board and how it worked and what it used. So yeah, I mean, that's fair. Like, yeah, maybe I should give it more consideration.
Well, I will say, I do like how in this season, for example, there's the main focus features that are highlighted in a different color. And then the secondary features coming are just like, just standard white font, for example, right? Like something like that could be elaborated on as far as main features, TBD. You know what I mean? Like I think it's okay to be open with people. It's like, hey, this is for sure what we're going to try and deliver to you. These over here, we'll leave these in the maybe pile, but we're definitely going to try and sneak this in. I don't think there's anything too crazy with that, as long as it's not, because for example, season 2, because I just pulled it up over here on my side. Season 2, it looks great, but if I'm sitting there counting, that's a lot of check marks to go down the line, right? But for example, in comparison to 9, there could be like a nice healthy little balance here, just kind of somewhere in between 10 and 15, like maybe 12, for example, right? And just have like, hey, these 4 for sure. These 4, we're gonna try our hardest. These 4, if everything goes well, we're gonna try and get to those. And it can still be, picture format and stuff like that. Just
yeah. No, I mean that's fair feedback, and maybe provide more things. Like I say, we reviewed a lot of different formats from other games and what we feel works or not. And I'm not saying that this is definitely the best one, and maybe it isn't, right? And like maybe the issues from like season 2 and even the reception of this one like are really clear indicators that maybe we do need to change it, right? So yeah, I think that's fair. Like, it gave me a lot of food for thought here.
I love the pictures, bro. I'm just gonna throw that shit out to like the pictures, and like, how much these guys talked about last week about that damn looking claw, whatever helmet,
the beetle claw, apparently. Yeah.
Like, bro, and like, the lightning storm, like
a beetle claw.
This,
anyways,
but see, this is something that a Trello won't cause. You get what I'm saying? I still think that something like this has its place, by all means. Maybe just as far as sectioning, structuring, whatever, maybe, I'm sure you guys are gonna iron things out. Again, in perspective, it's easy to, hindsight 2020. We've been here since December, but again, this is early access. Like, and I remember talking with Crashy. He was like, "Yo, there's no way early access lasts for less than 6 months. There's no way it'll be longer than 6 months." I was like, "Bro, you been following Paragon games?" I was like, "My dude, like, I've been making Paragon remake content since 2018, my dude. If this game is in early access for a year, that shit's short. That's not bad."
Yeah. Yeah,
a year and a half, still not
I
bad.
know we don't like saying it. I know we don't like saying it, but Fortnite was in early access for 2-3 years. You know, so and that's a AAA company.
That's different, bro. We can't even put them into this conversation, bro.
We can though, but that's my
by
point.
technicality,
Like,
yes. By technicality, yes. By all means.
I'm saying that's all I'm doing with the technicality side of it. But I'm just saying, like, that's a AAA company, and they were abusing the situation. But I'm just saying, like, that's just it. Today's day and age, early access goes a while. It's not a 3-month process. All right, where 3 months are up, here we go, full release. You know, games aren't the way it was when I was a kid. You know, with my one-room schoolhouse, like you get sent a game. There's no downloadable content. There's no updates to it. Literally, this is the game, and that's what you're gonna play.
We came a long way from GoldenEye, for sure.
Yes, 100%.
We did.
We're old as shit, bro. But
So
You guys are boomers.
Yes.
I'm like 2 years older than you. Be quiet.
So I'm a little bit excited.
There's no way you're 2 years older than me, Windu. How old do you think I am?
Like 20, 26, 27, 25.
I'm 22, bro.
You're 22?
Yeah.
It's a bandana. It's got to be the bandana, bro.
I do have a question,
That's a diaper.
No, that you
for
can't
Alex.
see the diaper.
So
That's why he cuts it out for the waist.
Jungle AI improvements. Is there like any plans for like doing more things to not? So a lot of people are asking like, oh, let's change the map. One, I know you can't just pick up and change the map. So like, there's things that you guys can do to make the gameplay loop a little bit more fun and new. So like hearing about the Jungle AI improvements was like
Different
blew my
camps.
mind apart. I think I mentioned it like once in Predcast. Like I think Bearded Ass is like what we want to see or something like that, and that's one of the things. So I was glad I saw that. But is there like any more improvements you guys are planning on making to make the gameplay loop just feel a little bit better without necessarily changing a huge part like the map?
Yes, right. Like, so I this is definitely something I wanted to discuss, right? Like, we're talking about a lot about what we should do to the gameplay, right? Like, so if we look over early access, right, like we made some changes that impacted gameplay, and we obviously made a lot of like balance iterations and new heroes changed it to some degree, but we haven't made many like core aspect changes. And we are definitely talking about like where the game is, where we want the game to go, the kind of feedback we're getting about how it plays, and we are looking to make stuff. You know, and this comes to like things that people talk about all of the time, right? Like whether it's Pinzo talking about movement penalty or something, right? Like these are things that we're
He has been watching, bro.
I've never talked about that before in my life.
Yeah, no. We're actively discussing and trying to decide, right? Like we want to see. We want to iterate a bit on the core gameplay this season. We want to try and make some improvements. We want to remove some frustration from the game that we feel was like coming and some of the things, because like people are frustrated playing the game. And for a while it felt like that was like purely matchmaking, and people were like, hey, the matchmaking's bad, the matchmaking's bad, the matchmaking's bad, and that highlighted some issues. But while we were fixing that, we realized that, hey, maybe the sentiment isn't just related to matchmaking. Maybe there's other things that we need to look at, and there definitely are things. So like for example, also the minions, right, the lane minions. Nothing gives me a headache more than these lane minions. So we are looking to rework that, to make them more consistent, to make them like just be more consistent, right?
Work properly.
Yeah,
please, right. You know, no, like losing aggro, hitting aggro, like just everything about them, the way they kite, like being able to attack while moving, minions, you know, like these things we care about, we know need to be addressed. So like after the AI jungle AI minions are done, like it's lane minions next, like that's getting hit by our coders, and within that we'll change some stuff on the design side, right, to make sure that they function in the way that we want. And yeah, we are looking at more changes outside of like say addressing the map or reworking like all of the hero kits or anything like that. We're definitely considering this. It's just like it's not in a way where we feel confident like communicating any of that right now, because it's all very up in the air, and stuff we want to address. and also I'm not sure exactly how we will communicate that, because like up until now we've been pretty good at like that stuff's being handled within the like balance section, and the game designers kind of talking themselves about what we plan to do, right? Like, you know, when we changed TTK, or when we reworked AD itemization and stuff, right? Like so that stuff, as soon as we know and we feel about it, that stuff will come. Like Import is working on some outside of like the AI movement changes and like the jungle AI itself. We also just like taken a big kind of pass on rebalancing the jungle and the way that flows, and the kind of the way that the jungler comes out of it and what they can do in their downtime and stuff. So yeah, we want to take a look at these things.
If you don't mind me asking, the change from 2 to 4, from 3 to 6 updates wise, right?
Yep.
Is that mainly to do with that cadence that we talked about a little bit earlier?
Yeah, it's got to do with a lot of things, right? So
hold on, before you go on to that,
yeah.
Because I was gonna ask the same question, so I kind of maybe you can put it together if possible. Because it was said, I believe it was Robbie on the Predcast, it was said that once the UI is done, that's going to speed things up for you guys to be able to put things out here. And now the UI is done, and now after that was posted, then all of a sudden, hey, we're taking longer. Like, what's the reasoning for that? And then so maybe you can put that together somehow, some way. But
better context.
Sure, right? Like, so yeah, like the statement is still true, right? Like the UI rework allows us to do things faster internally, right? And deliver features quicker. But like, we don't build features in like 2 weeks or 4 weeks, right? Like, features still take a while, and there's lots of stages there. So like that speed doesn't necessarily need to reflect in our update cadence. And the main reason for like the cadence change is not related to that, right? Like that's still true, right? Like the new UI is there, we have a good foundation, like we're able to build new features faster, and we can like move forward and not be blocked by this like old new UI problem that we were encountering. But the cadence change itself is just like so much bigger than that, unfortunately, right? Where it's like
healthier, probably.
Yeah, so there's two things, right? Like releasing an update every 2 weeks comes at a cost, right? Not to like make excuse or anything, right? Like, it's just that there's stuff that people need to work on to deliver updates every 2 weeks, and that's where I want to be, right? Like, we need to be, as a studio, in a place where we're delivering updates every 2 weeks, you know, maybe even faster. Like, I don't know, right? Like you see live service games delivering content at that pace, and I think that's really important. And we learn a lot from doing that this time, right? Up like last 10 months or whatever. And we have, you know, like pushed our processes to breaking point. You know, we've changed things, we've done stuff, and like what we need now is we need a little bit of time to like fix and implement and iterate on the internal processes so that we can change. And that kind of correlates with whatever our console release strategy is going to be, because when we go to console, the updates cadence is just different and more complex. And basically we want to kind of pull all of that together, spend some time making sure that like we are delivering good content that is like safe, quality, and, you know, as bug free as possible. We want to hit those goals, and we want to do it every time, and we want to make sure that those processes are there, and then we want to speed up again, right? Like, and that's the thing. And so this cadence change right now kind of allows us a little bit of time to focus more on making improvements, so that afterwards we can go back, because it basically got to the point where it's like, hey, something needs to change. I think my camera just went.
Oh no, you're okay. I was gonna say, just try turning it off and on. So just to add to what you were saying, so essentially you guys rather go a little bit slower and steady, make sure that you got your footing, so that then if you guys choose to do so, you can actually start running at a little bit faster pace if you deem it fit.
Yeah,
but you rather
we want to run at a faster pace, right? Like, we're not going to be able to run at that pace forever, but I think it's important that we run it. But yeah, it is really just a thing. Like, we had to make the hard decision. Let's take some time now to gain some momentum again in the future, right? Like it's also similar to like before going into early access, we had a content backlog, right? Like we had some stuff going and we were able to maintain like a cadence off of that as well, right? But like things changed, stuff's different, and like that's also dwindling. So it's like we need some time to just make sure that we can like slow down to do more now to get forward. Also the other access, right? It's like I mean, you guys could probably write on your hand a checklist of features you think Predecessor needs before it can go into EA. And right now it's like we kind of just need to finish that list, right? Like we already been in early access quite a long time. Like we learned a lot. We've like sorted out a lot of things and made some improvements that are really going to ensure that we're supported. But right at some point we just need to buckle down and finish the game, right? Or like finish, right? It's a live service game, it's never going to be finished, but like get the game ready to go free to play, because that's just such an important milestone and we can't wait forever, right? Like in my opinion.
Yeah, no. Speaking of going free to play, part of that is getting console on board. And that was the big reason for this UI takeover or whatever. Now the UI was all out of game UI. What about the in-game UI was already good for PlayStation or whatever? Like how is that how that worked? Is like, hey, everything in games already meets their standards, or how did that work that we only needed to do work on out of game UI?
Yeah, so like most of the gameplay, right, is sufficiently prepared for console, right? Mainly because like of the way the controller works and how you control the character, right? So for example, we're not like entirely happy with the way the controller interacts with the shop, for example, and I'm hoping that there's still time to make some improvements there so that is a better experience when we go console, because it's not just like meeting the criteria of PlayStation and they have like or Xbox, right? They have a long list of things, right? Like you can't have stuff in this part of the screen and you need to interact with all of our systems, and you know you need to do a big checklist of things, but it's also like, is this experience good for people playing on console? And it was about hitting that. So yeah, the majority of the in-game stuff we are happy with. Not to say that the in-game HUD can't be improved, not to say that we want to make changes to like different aspects of it. Like I think there's always room for improvement, but it's like, yeah, what is blocking us, what is not blocking us, what needs to be done now, and what can be done like once we're past that point, right?
So I'd love to pretty much hit what Neo Sky was over here hitting, and what Jolster kind of tagged on a little bit as well. So essentially, we know that the focus has been console, and we know that as far as console being the biggest obstacle, UI getting ready for console, like specific teams dedicated for console, etc. Console is a very big part of the game, and we all know this at this point. But now, do you think that when console comes around, is that going to alleviate some of the stress as far as the team goes? Or just because we're on console now, is that going to now add like another ball to the juggling game that you guys got going on?
I mean, it can't not add a ball, but I think the important thing is it just changes it, right? Like it's not like you do everything the same now, you have to do all this additional work, right? Like you change everything to just work under these new circumstances and this new audience, like these new platform holders that we have to work with, right? Like it's not so much that it's like, it's just like this extra weight, this extra burden, but it's more like things have to change and we have to adapt. And I guess,
I mean, realistically, how do you guys have anything planned / how much are you guys trying to like cater to the console audience? Like, is there things that you're going to add that specifically will only help console, like even if it hurts PC a little bit, like that kind of thing? Like as far as like either in-game kind of systems, whether the way the map is made or heroes, stuff like that.
So, I mean, that's like a really hard thing to answer, right? Like I think we will endeavorly make changes that will negatively impact PC players and the experience on PC, right? Like I think but like to say that's an intention is not true, right? Like, yes, console is important. Yes, that is going to bring a big audience. Yes, that audience needs to be catered to, but like, so does the PC audience, right? And every change that we make that we feel will have these kind of impacts, especially when we're talking about gameplay, if that's what you're specifically answering, it's like we do need to cater to make sure that the game feels fun for the people playing on console, but like to do that at a detriment of the people playing on PC is just crazy, right? Like we have to find a middle ground where both people have an enjoyable game experience, right? Like I want to play on PC, right? Like I will be playing on console, but like I always been like my MOBA experience on PC, so like it has to be good experience there. And so changes that may feel like they are maybe some changes are like, yeah, hey, this is like really console focused change, whatever that may be. Like I would, like every time we would try to do that, it's for like the good of the game as a whole, and that everyone is still enjoying a better game at the end of the day.
Well, like, so I guess my more like pointed question would be that like a lot of people would accuse Omeda of making, you know, half the abilities in the game rounded up lock-ons because console players can't aim, right? And like that sort of thing where right, like that, which is again something that a lot of people would accuse you know, of being in Predecessor specifically for console players, which is one of those things that's like, you know, whether or not I agree with it, like how would you address something like that?
Yeah, I mean, like I guess just because the game is on PC, right? Like the game is planned to be a console PC title, so like those things have to be considered. And whether half of the abilities being lock on targets is actually a good decision for you know, console players in that audience, I mean, that's kind of still to be confirmed, right? But like there is definitely a lot that goes into hero kit design that thinks about this stuff, right? And it's also not just consoles, right? Like, you know, PC players can't aim either, right? Like they can be difficult, and yeah, so it's about finding a good balance between like heroes that fit different play styles, different skill levels, different controller inputs, right? Like I'm not sure that would ever be a case, but for example, right, like there are some characters that you can play on keyboard and mouse that just really don't function on controller. I don't know if you ever tried to play Faye on controller in the current scheme. It's like not fun, right? I wouldn't recommend it. Please don't, right? Like and we want to address that in the controller changes, right? Like we want to make some changes to the way the mapping works so that basically all of our current heroes work on it better, and you can actually aim their abilities while holding the button. But yeah, it's a hard thing to answer, but I think it's just always about finding a balance, and it's not just a console reason, right? It's not just because of console, but it's like finding a game that is got the kind of width of audience that we want to aim for, and then like making changes for that and building out the roster and making sure that there are heroes that are more accessible, but arguably like lock-on abilities are quite hard to balance, right? Like because they're confirmed damage and stuff, and it would be like there would be a lot of benefits if everything's a skill shot and stuff, but like sometimes these games also don't work, right? Like they also have issues, right? I don't know if you I can't remember the name of it now, like Bloodline Champions and the games that come after that, right? I was really a big fan of these games, and they're like very skill shot driven games, and like they had their own problems and stuff, but it's just like it's not always the solution, right? Even though it could be very good, right? Like in a lot of cases, it's just about finding a balance there. And maybe we're not right with the balance right now. Like, I mean, maybe you're valid. It's just like finding a good place for where the audience needs to be and how we want to grow the roster, right? Like, because it's not always going to be the case.
It's just like that was just a big thing that I was just curious what you had an answer to.
Hey, All
right. So speaking of controller and how things work, currently a competitor is doing a closed beta test right now for PlayStation.
Oh my God, have you guys seen the clips?
Yes,
for the aim assist.
So they're having some issues. Are you guys visually paying attention and seeing and taking notes on those issues that they're having to try to obviously negate that That's my first question. And then my next question is, with Pred having controller support already now on PC, does that benefit you guys going to console, or is it a completely different support system?
Yes. Do we pay attention? Yes, we pay attention. Pay close attention, right? Like we don't have to make all of the mistakes ourselves, right? Like we can learn a lot from our competitors and the things that they do right and wrong, right? It's super important. And this doesn't just go for Overprime.
Yes.
Like it goes for all of them,
Legends,
right?
all,
like there is so much to learn, and like it would be madness to not pay attention, right? Like it's so important. And it, not even just for this issue, but like for everything, right? Like I think it's super important. So yeah, we are paying attention, right? Like I was, but when finishing up today, watching videos like that I had people make, right? Like not even just what content creators and the community do, like, we're looking at it ourselves. I think it's really important, right? Like, we're also playing other games ourselves as well, right? Like that's super important. And so, yeah, we do learn from that. It's like really, like it's so easy to learn from that. It's the best thing, right? Like, because you're like, hey, we didn't think about this. What happens in this in our game? Or like, whoa, that's cool. Like, could we do this? Like, does that kind of fit in our game? That's like super important. And then as for like your other question is like the fact that we have cared about controller support on PC is like super beneficial to us going to console, and I do not expect many things to change, to be problematic, right? Like all of that in like having players play on controller, like having there are players, in that play Pred on controller all the time and give us really valuable feedback about where it's working, where it's not, and all of the problems they have, right? Like playing that ourselves, like feeling like you have to put the controller down to use your keyboard and mouse at certain aspects of the game are like huge red flags for us, and I think it's super important. Like I was generally surprised that the controller layout was not released for Overprime earlier, right? Like the fact that it's ready and that's still on PC, I believe you can't even use it. I'm generally surprised by that decision, and it's just not something that I would do, because I think like we've benefited so much from that, and we're able to make a much stronger iteration that feels like a good direction on how the game should feel on controller, and also just highlight like all of the pain points of all of the UIs over a long period of time, because that stuff takes time to really identify why and where and what even the good solutions are for that. And I would think it would be really scary if we didn't have answers to a lot of that already.
I gotta say, my favorite part, I just want to throw it out there, my favorite part about the work that's being done currently on the controller and the layout is the fact that so much thought is being put into it. Because I gotta tell you, I've been playing on controller, specifically on Steam Link, like on my phone. I literally will link my controller to my phone. I'll be wherever the hell. I was like at my mother's house over the past weekend, literally just sitting on the couch playing a match of Predecessor, and I kid you not, I did a Howardson match, and I was like, okay, I didn't like the way that felt personally. I did a Chimera match, I was like, okay, that felt good. Chimera felt great, by all means. So I definitely see the little disconnect here and there as far as like the layout of the abilities at times, or like, what buttons you have to press in order and stuff. So I'm really glad that that's being addressed, and that the fluidity, is being addressed now before going into console. So it's a much smoother experience out the gate.
And I think long term, like ideally you want to offer as much flexibility to players to play, because like whatever control scheme we come up with may not be the greatest, right? For everyone, right? It's not gonna fit, and some people are just like, I really wish this would change. And I do want us to be able to, like in the same way the keyboard and mouse can rebind the majority of keys. I think that's going to be important, but unfortunately, like a lot of players just won't engage with that, right? Like most players will just take default. So it's also really important that we're very confident in that the default is for most cases the best it can be. Yeah, because people won't change it; they'll just leave, right? Like,
right.
Yes.
And so it's like super important.
No, I got a friend that's playing the CBT right now. I don't have a PlayStation, so I can't play it. But he's got a friend that's playing it right now, and he said he's having issues with the controller. I'm like, have you tried the? And I know because I also have a friend that's partnered with them. I'm like, have you tried the other two? They have 3 total controller layouts. Have you tried the other 2 layouts? He's like, I didn't know they existed. Yeah. I'm like, all right, let's give those a try and see what those are like. But anyways, so it looks like, and again, I don't know because I'm not a dev for Overprime. But it's looking like they're having the similar issues that you guys had during your stress test with servers and people not being able to connect and play the game. They do have a good amount of people playing, but there's people who aren't able to get in, and so it looks like they're having that issue. They're doing a CBT, like it's only a brief time. They're doing a test. They're gonna fix those server issues, and then when they finally go full release on console, that should be taken care of. I don't know, and this is me asking you, and maybe you do know. Are the PC servers and console servers? I know we're working with AWS, right? Are they the same? Like the back end server work you guys had with whatever company that was?
Third party
came in and helped out and did great work and got us up and running. Is that work going to help us with console as well, or do we need to reassure that?
Yeah. So It's hard for me to speak on this because we're about to enter into areas that I'm not so familiar with. But like the way we built it has been to support crossplay. So like all of the systems we currently have in place like are to support that, and that's really important. And I'm hoping that pays dividends, right? However, right, like there are complexities with just going on console that may need slightly different solutions, and because obviously there's like the PlayStation Network in the middle of that, and how we interact with that and stuff, and like that's like, even though everything should be part of the same infrastructure and everything is working and is being tested, right, like there's a certain amount of unknowns, right, like and it's only when things go live and you actually put it in, and I think we have really good tools for testing this now, right? Like when we had our stress test that had multiple server issues, like the team learned a lot then, and they made a lot of changes to try to not repeat that. Where I think the server tests we went before we went live, like that was in a really good place, and we were really able to have a good day one on EA. And I'm hoping that the same like lessons and things we've put in place will ensure that console goes in a similar direction.
Okay. And you guys don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I've seen it, the way it seems like it's been announced, you guys don't have any plans of doing like a CBT. You guys plan on just releasing console paid early access. Yeah,
I mean, like I don't know exactly what the final plan will be. We may need to do a CBT, like maybe because we want to, right? Like very close to release. I can't comment on it because I just don't know. I'm not entirely involved, right. But like I could imagine that's something that is not off the table at this point, because like it could just be really beneficial, right? Like the weekend before, I have some kind of test just to make sure that the release goes well, right? Like I'm not sure. I'm nearly like very confident we're not going to take the Overprime approach, which is just like there's a CB now and then we don't know what's going to happen. But like whether we don't do one, there's a chance we could, right? Okay, that's perfectly, and that kind of matches your paying attention to others and learning from their mistakes or learning from their beneficiaries or whatever. That's the word I want to say. Whatever, how you learn from their successes as well. So yeah, no.
Are you guys at all worried about like Overprime has its beta test for whatever, like the next week, right?
Yep.
And then obviously Pred dropping on console sometime in the next couple months, right? Are you worried that console players are going to see Pred and be like, oh, I played that, it was called Overprime and it sucked, so I'm not going to play that? Are you guys worried about that at all, or?
No, I guess it's really hard, right? Like there is a lot of conversation about that, but like one of our key goals is like to differentiate our marketing. But it's like at the moment, at least our console release, right? Like the people that will play on console already know what Pred is, right? Like they're waiting and that stuff. I do think there is a chance, right? Like that players are going to be impacted by the successful failures of either game, right? Like and not realize that they're different and stuff, and that's always been a challenge that we've had. But at least with how the PC games have gone and how things have gone there, like I feel like we're able to differentiate ourselves, like marketing wise. That is not a concern to be said, but like we are aware of it, right? And it is something that we consciously consider when making decisions about things like this, right?
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. I wanna lead a little bit off of this conversation that we're going to. A lot of comparisons here and there. I'm gonna need you to talk to our boy Blood here, because I don't know why in the world Serath's ult procs on takedowns instead of kills, bro. I'm gonna be real. It's a little strong. Yeah, it's a little strong. Takedowns instead of kills.
So there's a thing about this, right? And I can't talk through like the exact details on this, right? Like I trust these guys and they do a lot, but like on a high level, right? Like mechanics that revolve around players getting kills are generally not the greatest feeling for everyone involved, right? Like they're like, especially for a character like Serath, that kind of it relies on it, right? Like it's part of her loop to chain and to reset and to do stuff. And it's like if someone on your team accidentally steals your kill or doesn't even understand what Serath does and takes your kill, like that has huge implications for how you feel, for how you react to them and those experiences, right? So like is it balanced? You know, that's a different question, right? And I think that can be addressed. But like when we're talking about like player experience and how people interact with it, I think it's really important that that the people, and especially on the same team, are not in conflict with each other over like different things, right?
I mean, that's fair. So essentially making sure that the floor isn't too high so everybody can enjoy it to a certain extent. I personally would rather have that floor be a little bit higher. And if somebody steals a kill and you don't capitalize, be like, well, it sucks that you pick the high skill hero.
You don't have a large amount of agency over that, right? Like, and the goal of the game is to take the core, right? Like, that's the thing, right? Like, everyone's playing for that condition, and kills are just a way of getting there, right? And so and the expectation that every player on your team knows every detail about every other hero that you're playing with, like, is not a fair expectation, right? Like, it's just these things don't happen, and the thing is, it's just like, how are you going to respond when you literally lose the team fight because you didn't get the reset, right? Like you're just going to press enter and start typing. Like, yeah, sorry, go.
You're good. So on that line, you're with what you're saying with Serath, and that you're arguing for her to have that. Yep. My bring up Serath.
Yeah. I knew it was coming.
Serath's ultimate, and if somebody takes the kill and you ult it, it's like you get nothing for it. And the way you read it, it seems like it should work on takedowns, and it doesn't. Like,
yeah, and that's the topic we're discussing, right? Like we may trying different things, making decisions, like questioning those decisions and trying stuff. And we have like this exact problem, 2 characters apart, and like, yeah, we're seeing how it goes. And could it be worded better? Yes, it needs to be worded better, right? Like, I definitely want to see that addressed. But yeah, like these, like there's a general thing there. I think with Serath specifically, it's a little bit of a balance thing at the moment, and maybe we need to take it in a different direction, just because like unlimited permanent power gain is potent, right? That's why I generally think that it's like that at the moment, but that doesn't imply that it's still not like it still contradicts what I said, and I still think that's not like the best thing, but that doesn't mean that that's just like, yeah, that's just where we are at the moment, I guess, right? And we'll make a learning from that, and maybe it will change in the future. Maybe Serath will, right? Like, but as I stand right now, like, as I feel, it's like those things cause conflict, and you see it with Serath, in my opinion, and it can feel bad. And I think that's something that we need to refine and figure out if we're on the right direction, and whether we should make changes to that in the future or not.
please do not give him anybody that dies in this cage, because the infinite power spike is so broken.
It's problematic, right? Like,
you don't have to make it infinite.
Nobody
If you want to make it everyone who dies, you just don't make it infinite.
Literally way too much. I don't care what Pizzo says. It literally is way too much, and he's completely wrong. So this is what it is.
If you make it anyone who dies in the cage, you just reduce the power per stack, and you don't make it infinite.
Because then he gets the power spike way too early.
I have a fix.
How? If you're playing in the solo lane, how many people are you killing in your
real quick, Go Bearded.
I have a fix. So instead of you keep the infinite the stack, or how it keeps on stacking for the whole game order, the permanent stack. But if you don't get the kill, give a different cooldown on the ultimate. So you have like a half a cooldown instead of a full cooldown, because that's the part that feels bad. You use your ultimate and you're trying to get that stack, and your teammate gets the kill instead. Now you don't get the stack. Okay, well fuck. I literally waste. Now I wasted my ultimate. It feels like a complete waste. The same thing with example with Serath. All right, well now give us a half a cooldown, or maybe not even half. Whatever. Let the balance team figure that out. But give me a lesser cooldown so I can use my ultimate earlier or at another point. I'm not waiting a full time on that. That would be the better way to do that.
So to add to that, I would actually say if it was on kill, let's say you don't get the first kill, somebody else does. You don't get your ultimate on Serath, right? But let's say you get the second kill, you still got the procket. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still think the skill expression is there, and once you have that ultimate, there's a good chance you're doing more damage. There's a good chance you're going to get a kill. But after it's already proc.
Serath is a different example for me, because on Serath, if you pick up an orb, it does not expend your ultimate. Your ult does not go on cooldown, you know? So you still have that ultimate. If you get a kill before you use your ult, now you have your ult and you don't have to pop it. And you can, if your timer runs out, now you can pop it and you get 14 seconds of your ult to get that second kill. Or you can pop it, have 7 seconds to get the first kill, then you get another one, you have 7 more seconds.
Yeah.
Right, like Xerath is a little bit different because A, his ult is a much longer cooldown than Serath's, and B, it does have this weird thing where you have to get the kill. So I don't know. I don't think.
And it does have the permanent stacking on top of it. That's fair. Where we are kind of comparing an apple to an orange here.
Hey, they're both fruits though.
Jesus.
Like, you're talking about essentially an assassin stim ultimate versus like a team fight, like a setup ultimate.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're exactly 1-to-1.
There's never going to be a perfect character. I say just learn how to play the character how it's played. I don't think there's literally anything wrong with any of these characters.
This is coming from Mr. Hot Takes himself.
That is a hot take, because I'm sitting here with 2 3 people that think Xerath's ult is bad when it's simply a skill issue. But it is.
Oh, 3. When did I say that shit?
Oh, sorry, Windu. I'm looking at Neil. And
I didn't say it was bad. I just think it could be designed better. I think his ult is nuts, bro. I'm the best Xerath player in the game. I just think that his ult could be designed better as far as the stacking aspect of it goes.
And I'm just taking words from what the developer said, and I'm using that for a character in the same situation. All right, that's all I'm doing.
No, I mean, I think it's a fair comparison, right? Like, I do think, like, especially with what I said, right? I was just waiting for you to ask, right? So, but like, we're making those decisions. Like that's the other thing, right? And I'm not saying it's like specific in this case, but it's like, sometimes to validate whether we're going one direction, we're going the right direction, is to try stuff in the other direction, right? Like, and to do things that are different or that we may worried about, and then assess and change. Will Xerath's ultimate look like this in a year's time? I don't know, right? But like when it popped, when it dropped, and we listened to the feedback, like, we're talking about it, right? Like we're definitely listening. So, and we'll make decisions. And I think Serath is a good counter thing, and we'll see how that falls, right? And then we'll decide, and we'll adjust and try to keep making the improvements that keep the game healthy, right? Like, because I think that's what's really important.
Yeah. No, I like my idea with that, because I get the idea. I get what F6 is saying about being a permanent, and what you're even saying, that's huge. Like, if you can just get on takedowns and everything, like you're gonna be endlessly.
I mean, you just play differently, right? Like that's the thing, right? Like, it would change the way you play. Like,
there are already snowball heroes in the game. It's not like. You know, there are already other characters where it's like, oh, yep, they got a kill, they're unstoppable. Revenant is literally like, I would argue that Revenant's passive gold is stronger than passive power.
Yeah.
Like that's
no, because I think you still get capped. You can only get so much at the end. You can only buy a tonic. You get full build and tonic, and that's it. You can't get any farther than that.
Meanwhile,
that's a cap. Like you can keep getting more gold, but that's it. Like that, you're not going to do much more.
But at 10 minutes, if you're 1,000 gold up because you have 3 kills, I mean, like that's not, you know, that's more unfair than being 12 power up.
But okay, that's a different situation. Now we're talking about a Snowball here. We're talking about end game. You brought it back to early game.
Snowball and end game here is not a Snowball hero.
I'm talking.
Say that to Sev.
Hero is
raid boss,
like a mid-game hero.
Say that to Sev.
Say that to Sev. End game hero is not a Snowball hero. Once that man gets enough stacks, if you let him live,
scale are different things.
Fair.
That's what I'm saying. That the scaling side of
fair, but once the scaling kicks in,
of Serath.
But the same argument applies to both.
Yeah.
Right. Same argument applies throughout. When the scale, even if the scaling kicks in early enough, that character becomes a Snowball character, right?
Yep.
So one can easily lead to the. I mean, it's all fair points. My thing is, I find it interesting that we have both of those examples currently in the game. We have a hero that is on takedowns, and then a hero that is on kills. I'm hoping that's going to lead to more data, and you know, maybe next big patch or something, they'll actually be like, hey, you know what? After careful consideration, we're going to make this change or something. You know what I mean? As opposed to just having one wing it.
I'd rather the wording saying after the Predcast, we're making this change. That's what I wanted.
I mean, as far as like Serath's passive goes, I think the stronger part of it is the cooldown reduction. Like that, like popping the ult for extra damage is nice. Getting 75% off your active cooldowns, that when she has a cooldown that makes her like immune, that's the part that's kind of wild. If you want to give her ult, go for it. I think you just nerf the cooldown reduction if you're actually considering nerfing Serath passive.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, she's a new hero. We'll see how it's like.
It's day 2. Yeah.
We have our opinions on where it will fall. We're aligned to that. We'll see how it is, and you know, make adjustments. So at least I hope that it's we've got a pretty good track record of changing those things and trying to listen to the way the community responds to those like designs changes and stuff.
So speaking of, go ahead, F6.
So it's about using the different axes a little bit more. Obviously, we know we have the verticality and kind of like the little dashes with like Zarus and Twin Blast, but are you guys gonna be waiting until Wukong comes out if you guys keep him the same to really experiment with like a higher elevation of targeting or different characters that could go and kind of battle in that type of plane?
Yes and no. I mean, we're not waiting for Wukong, but maybe Wukong is like the first thing that really like addresses that. Like we're talking about that all of the time, right? Like for the future of the game, like how it impacts current heroes, everything, right? Like how people interact on the vertical plane, because it's clear people want that. Like we want that. It's just ensuring that gameplay is interactive. And it's challenging itself, right? And there are some heroes that currently can't interact at that plane, and so we have to be careful. And then there's also just finding a way that we can interact in that plane that is actually interesting and engaging. And yeah, so like we're experimenting all of the time on this, right? Like we're discussing global solutions, right, versus individual heroes and stuff. I do think probably heroes are the way we're exploring for the time being, but doesn't mean we're not testing and discussing that, right? And trying to find ways to do that. When discussing changes to the map, that's always a topic as well. Like what vertical parts of the map are good, what are bad, like where do we want to do more, where do we want to do less, right? Like so it's just not the simplest solution, and it's kind of a thing that we're taking, like, I guess, small steps on to try and decide how to handle it.
Okay, I like that.
I will say my favorite implementation of anything like that so far is 1000% the Galaxy Greaves. It has been since the beginning. I hate the fact that that is tied to a tank item. You know what I mean? Like I wish. I mean, yeah, bro. Because like I honestly wish that, like, hell, like give a mage a random mana item that also has a movement ability, something effect to that effect tied to it. You know, maybe not necessarily crazy powers, and don't make something broken, but there's aspects that you can easily implement so that any role besides somebody that wants to build armor can use movement like that freely, or in certain extents. You know, like, again, trade-offs. If if a mage wants to have extra mana, maybe they're doing a mana build that he gets mana and some sort of movement. That's not going to be a nukem build, but maybe it'll add a little bit of spice. Maybe they want to go that route as opposed to just build armor. You know, just a thought.
Yeah, I mean, like stuff like this has always been talked about, right? Like there are implications to doing in different places, but like, yeah, it's definitely stuff we're open to discussing, we're exploring, right? Like, yeah, Galaxy Greaves is something people enjoy, and it would be madness to not want to replicate that throughout the game, right? So it's just finding a right balance, right? Where we don't have the capacity to do everything that maybe we could do or would want to do, because there are just some hero kits that like haven't been designed with that in consideration, right? Like, or are taken from Paragon where that wasn't a thing, right? So it's definitely, and like the capacity to address that is a decision we would have to make. Yes, we could address it, but is that a good, you know, like, is that the thing we want to be doing?
Fair. Now, I'd love to talk about the UI, just kind of circle back to that a little bit. Because for those of you that don't know, every time a new hero comes out here in the Predcast, we do Predcast Customs. And essentially, a whole bunch of community members come by. We'll do, you know, teams like Bearded's team versus F6's team, Pinzo versus my team, etc. And I can't with them. And, you know, just fun, good times. And one of the first things that I noticed when we got in there, since we're adding a bunch of people that are just showing up.
Window, before you go into that, F6, what are your thoughts on the UI?
The UI, it's a great foundation.
Yeah. Great foundation. Pinzo, what are your thoughts on the UI?
Mixed bag.
I
think it's I mean, like, is it serviceable? Yeah. Is it what I was hoping for? No. You know?
All right. I'll explain mine later. Windu, go ahead. Sorry. I wanted to get before you.
No, yeah, fair.
Thoughts in people's heads. I wanted you to.
Fair. Before we actually dive deeper into it, I'll throw my 2 cents on there as an overall blanket statement. There's way too much damn blue. I'd love a little bit more contrast,
no
right?
Such thing.
Like, for example, whenever you're loading into a match, the yellow, the cog that's spinning, beautiful. Love it. The fact that the cancel button and the player versus player is a blue box with a blue outline and blue letters inside. I'm like, okay, give me at least some white font or yellow font. That the contrast can make it spicy. Like, the fact that I hit escape, I just see all shades of blue, 50 shades of blue. Bearded loves it. I'm over here like, nah, bro, chill out. I need a little bit more variation. But I will say, as far as everything, I like the appeal of the UI. I think there's a little bit of a mismatch as far as preparing something amazing for console while simultaneously trying to please PC. And that's going to go right into what I was about to bring. For example, the social menu. I realized the social menu on the right-hand side, the column, on controller, spicy. Like, it feels smooth, right? Like, it feels like it's meant to be navigated on controller. On PC, little off-putting to use that menu.
It might be one of the worst friends menus I've seen in a video game.
I was about to say, like on PC. Well, that's the thing. On PC, legit, it felt so off-putting. I was like, bro, where do I find my friend code right now? Give me a second. Hold on. And then I'm like, okay, like
I couldn't figure out how to leave my party, bro.
Well, but that's the thing.
Leave the party.
So that's the thing. You have to enter the social menu by hitting the S key or the button in the corner, and that menu is 1,000% PC friendly. But the fact that I didn't know to go to that because I thought everything was going to be on this corner, that's where the off-putting was. Like, there needs to be good synergy between
that
those.
social button even existed. I wasn't paying attention. I saw the bar, and that's what I thought it was. Is everything's very weird.
You know why you didn't see it? Because it was fucking blue. Go ahead.
No, because I looked at the bottom right.
It literally takes 3 buttons to navigate that menu, and I think it's a lack of not knowing and the change of pace that are confusing people. And I think the more we use it, the easier it becomes because we were already subjected to a different system beforehand. Because for me, I press the E button and I go into my friends list if I want to do something quick. If I'm trying to do something more like get my friend code, I press the E button. And if I want to go a little bit deeper in the social menu, I press the S button.
Quit trying to make us sound like we don't know.
Hold on. Yes and no. And Bearded might add to this. I agree with you. Skill issue. We're all getting used to it. Agreed. But to what Alex mentioned earlier, they're going to give this game one try. If that shit doesn't feel fluid off the rip, they're just going to uninstall the game. They're not going to say, here, I just need to give this UI a week. In a week, it'll feel better. They're just going to be like, man, fuck this shit. I'm going back to Apex. Like, it's going to happen, bro.
It's new to us, just like it's going to be new to the new person. And if we, who already been committed to this game, are having a hard time with it, the new people are going to have a hard time with it. It's something that's not...
There's a little bit of a disconnect.
Just there. Yeah.
If I have to touch my keyboard to navigate the main menu, I'm out. Hate that. I'm not touching my keyboard.
To clarify, you don't have to. You can click on the button on the bottom right or click the button.
Oh, I've never.
Everything is mouse. Yeah, there's a button on the bottom right. Yeah.
And here,
I alt F4'd the game to leave my party. That was the only way. That's the only way I could figure it out.
Yeah. No, there's definitely ways to do it. It's a little more, and you have to. There's a more button. Like you definitely got to learn more. And it's not like most things. Like right now, like if you give me more clicks to do, I'm less likely to do it.
It is 2 buttons.
Okay, real talk, real problems. Why is the friends list not in alphabetical order?
Why is F6 on the show? I don't know.
I can't with them, right? Leave F6 alone. That's actually a great question.
It's not alphabetical, bro. I cannot. Yeah. I hate it.
Yeah,
it's not sorted by like in match in menu.
No, it's like in order that they logged in,
literally
basically, or the order that you added them.
To be improved. Like, I think that's a legitimate bug, right? Like, so there are some things, right? Like to kind of comment on this, right? Like,
yes, please.
The general design is like a direction we feel strongly for, and something we want to go to, but like there are edges to it that we're not happy with, that we want to improve, that we want to hear feedback on, right? Like the experience on keyboard and mouse is important, and there are things that like haven't been utilized very well or better, and I think there are improvements. There's learning issues, right? Like it shouldn't take you a long time to understand these things and know, like, you know, where the invite tab is and stuff, right? Like, and I think there are things that we wanted to improve, we will improve, and yeah, I think, like, for example, the ordering of the friends list it's just something that was missed or not considered, and it's just something that is like, yeah, I'm not going to justify a reason for that, right? Like, it's just, that's a bug, let's get that fixed, right? And that's kind of where we stand, and unfortunately, we're in early access. We have to hit deadlines and ship content, and sometimes, you know, we are just committed to doing that stuff, and we have to accept that, hey, it's not quite ready, or we're going to keep iterating on it, right? And we'll just start going now.
And
so I think it's super important. I think you guys should talk about it more. I think you should explain your complaints. You should argue, discuss, right? I think it's like so valuable. It's exactly what we need, right? So
yeah,
and I think that's very important to mention as well. I think it's very important to mention as well that it is all with the idea, the intent of providing feedback. Not necessarily, you know, like anybody that's ever listening or anything like that. Like it's all feedback oriented by all means. Like, for example, this specific screen that I have here showing in front of us, I love the hero selection screen with all the pictures. Honestly, I want to buy a skin more just because I see the picture. The picture looks so dope. It's like I got sold on the commercial of the car, even though I don't 100% like the way the car drives, right? But I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm already at the dealership. Fuck it. Like we're doing something. Yeah. But legit, I love the hero selection, like the actual art, the pictures, the poses, and all that. Again, my feedback is.
I was saying last night when we're doing our customs, I pointed this out. This screen, I love this screen. I love that art, and I'm a Murdoch main, right? That's my guy. I love that guy, right? I don't like that skin, but that picture makes me want to buy that skin.
You talking about the red one?
That red one. Like that red orange color that it is, it's just like it's just a recolor of his main skin. I'm not too into it. Like, give me something else. I want that's
and people see the picture.
I love his Punisher skin, right? That's the epic skin that I want. I can't wait for them to release that one. Bring that back out, right? That's my main skin. But that one, like seeing that picture, I'm like, oh, okay, now I kind of want to get that. That looks pretty fucking sweet. That right there is what this screen is supposed to do, and it's doing a great job.
Yeah, and just to add to the point that I was mentioning earlier, if you notice on the screen, great job in subtle little details. Like, for example, the scroll bar, yellow, contrast, right?
Yeah.
Murdoch's name,
blue baby.
Murdoch's name,
blue baby.
I can't. It says Murdoch, the skin name, Monarch, white font, yellow highlights. The button is gray, good contrast throughout. You go to the play page, play button in the corner, unless highlighted, different shades of blue. The little graffitis inside player versus player, different shades of blue. That's what I'm saying. Like, if I decide to queue here, pops up in the bottom, player versus player, looks great. Like, there's a lot of things that I really do like about it, and I do like the general direction that it's going. I just personally think I just accidentally queued for a match. Decline. I just feel like the disconnect for me, the only disconnect I had was in the social system. If that social system gets ironed out and then everything else just slowly gets worked on, I think it'll be a great first impression. Like, I feel like that needs to be a top priority for console by all means. Because if it off-put us as like loyal creators, gamers, etc., that for a new player, they're gonna be like, bro, I don't even know how to fucking add you. Can you add me? I need your friend code. Where the fuck do I find this friend code? You got to go to add a friend. How do I do that? You got to go click. If I click on the right.
Speaking of that, I got told last night, you're not even able to add while you're in a party anymore. Before the old UI, you can add while in a party. So that's something, I don't know if that's a bug or not, but because I had Wumba with me and Wumba was trying to add other people. He wasn't able to like add the people that are in the party. So like that, like having that add button, that's huge. So take that back, Alex, and that's something that that's a huge thing. Because if you did party up with,
right? Like,
like so, like let's say me and Pinzo team up, right? But Pinzo's got 3 people with him, right? And then his 3 people want to add me as a friend. I'm already friends with Pinzo. It's like, all right, well, his 3 people want to add me as friend. Now I have to either send them my friend code, or they just click on my avatar and hit add as friend, and it sends me a friend code that way. That right there, we were able to do that before this UI. Now we can't do it with the UI currently. That was something that we got feedback last night.
Like the main menu that we got versus the picture that we were shown in like June or whenever that was, this one's way better. That other one was, I don't know. It was Fortnite 1-for-1. You know, it was very mobile gamey. This one is much less so. So I will say that it is an upgrade over the picture that they showed us.
Oh, and shout out for the camera angles on the heroes, by the way. Because in the old menu, I don't know if it was just me, could have been the post-processing, could have been maybe just the camera angles that we're choosing or whatever, the focus, the focal lens that gets added on there. Here, I can actually see a character as clear as day, and I'll give an example here.
Lighting got updated. There were some weird lighting updates. Like the map is brighter. If you look at Fangtooth Pit, it's substantially brighter than it was before the patch. So there's some lighting updates on a lot of stuff. Like a lot of the skins look a little bit different.
That's fair. That's a good point, because I did notice that just watching the playback of the Predcast customs. I was like, you know what? Did settings get changed, or are shadows just a little bit lighter?
No, everything's a little bit brighter, it seems like.
Hey, Mr. Meds. Just
There
in
he
time
is.
not to hear the skid talk. There he is. All right. The items spot, right? You click on items.
Yes.
That I was talking to Jelly
Big
Beans,
feedback.
and that right there, like, it's still the same old. I know it's a placeholder. I can't stand them. They look like PlayStation 2 freaking item arts, but they're crisper. They're like a higher definition from what we had in the last UI, and they look better. Like that potion, it just stands out. You can see more detail into it. You know, it looks better than what we had the last UI. So I definitely like this screen. But we were talking about it last night. I love that you can filter between the roles or the type of player that you're playing, but we're not able to filter the hey, I want just magic
attack speed
resist.
items.
I just want attack speed items. That filter, we need that filter in this menu here, so we can kind of, before you go into a match, you can kind of get an idea what you want to build. It's so hard to rifle through all of that stuff.
Yeah. So I can talk about this a little bit actually, because I think that was in the old version of this menu. That's how it was there. Like we decided to simplify this menu right now, just so that it was functioning on controller in a way that we wanted without virtual cursor, right? Which was one of the main goals of this whole thing, is that you don't need to use virtual cursor to move around this menu on controller. However, this screen is like, basically we want to rework the in-game shop slightly to be a better experience for everyone, right? Like I think like PC players will complain about it as well, but like console players have a lot to complain about the in-game shop, and we want to rework it. And the plan is that basically whatever way we rework it, we want to bring that kind of like navigation and consistency to this menu as well. So we made the decision where it's like, let's not invest massive amounts in reworking this menu right now. Let's wait until we have the shop and then make them consistent. So that's our plan, and so hopefully that you'll get back the the more granularity of searching at this stuff. But right now we made a decision where it's like, no, let's just like we scaled it back, we pulled something out, but that's like more of a short-term thing, just because we didn't want to redo it twice, basically. So yeah, I mean, I hear you.
No, that makes sense.
I want to come back. So
yeah.
I mean, I will say that makes sense as far as you just want to make sure that everything can be basically clicked on with a D-pad, so to speak. You want to make sure it's easy to navigate, etc. I am with Beard as far as I feel like that's a key feature. Maybe having a split menu to where you can either toggle, or maybe just the toggle, right? Like as far as toggle filter by role, or toggle filter by stat. And the same thing as up there as like the carry icon, mage icon. Now you see the power, the magic power, attack speed, etc. So yeah, again, future iterations.
We definitely talked about that, right? Like how those filters could work and bringing it back and making sure that that's there. Yeah, it's something we're already on.
Are those icons, the new icons, are those things that you're planning to put in other places in the game? Because you have like, right, it's like carry, mage, support, and then it's like
tank, fighter, assassin, maybe
bruiser.
Yeah.
It's like bruiser,
so
assassin, tank or
the
something.
role icons, right? And they're taken from the shop. So like it's a hard thing that we're discussing, right? And trying to decide like, when do we filter by class and when do we filter by role, right? And that this goes for like heroes in the shop, right? For example, because it's like, yeah, do we just define heroes by their roles, or do we define them by like, hey, like what does a player want, right? Like, I'm an ADC main and I want to play ADCs, or I'm a jungle main and I want to play junglers, or is it like I want to play tanks, right? And so that's, I guess, the thing we're looking into. So it's not that it's new, it's just we decided to put it there instead, right? So it's just the class, like class filtering. And yeah, that was the decision we made there. And I feel for items is kind of needed, because yeah, like for searching for offlane items, right? Like, who are you playing, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you're in offlane, right? You could be on Shinbi, Steel, or Grux, right? You're gonna need different items based on your class, as opposed to the role. So that's just a decision we have to make, and we're making it in different places on different things. But I think right now, like, yeah, it's class most places.
No, I mean, I like the new change. I guess I like it because it's new, and I like being able to filter for class because I want to be able to see that. Because there's times when I play Grux, there's times I play tank Grux, and there's times I play bruiser Grux. So being able to filter between the two of those, like, all right, hey, here's my options for my tank build, here's my options for my bruiser build, and just kind of get all my items all in one. That's great. I love that idea of it. But again, like there's times like it's like I want to build like what that was one thing I always promoted with Predecessor when I was playing when I was being more of the ADC main. I love the fact that I can literally go into menu, like a store menu, like when we're in game, and I can click attack speed crit, and that's what I'm gonna build attack speed crit this game, or I'm gonna build lifesteal crit. That's what I'm build, and that's just I would pick two things that I was like, all right, that'd be my build diversity for the game, and I would just all right, I'm gonna build these items, but so having that in the menu, so you can kind of get an idea of what you want to build before you get into a match, and you're not just sitting there like fumble around in the shop, because again, we all know MOBAs like timing is everything, so the faster you can build something, the better. So having that idea of that build beforehand and being able to build it in the game menu, the outer game menu is great. So yes. So you already said it, you already plan on and putting it in, in the future. So that's great. That's awesome there. The rest of the menu for me, I felt everything else was great. I love the profile menu. I love being the for one, let's talk about them. The backing animations that we got from the Ascension backing animations and the Ascension jump pad trails. Love them.
Didn't expect that.
I seen those in game and actually seeing it's just something different. It's not that same blue. As much as I love the color blue, now I get the gold yellowish color. So I get to mix up I get to put my
that
colors
purple,
together.
bro.
Right?
Need that purple.
We're good. So
I love MSU
so
colors.
that there. But yeah, I think the rest of it, I think the biggest issues is the social page, that bar on the side. It just kind of, it feels like it gives you that like, hey, everything's right here, but then it's not, right? That was my biggest thing with that bar on the side. Having the social, that big full menu, like what Windu's saying, it's all great. It's all, everything's really you need is right there. So, but yeah, just, I went into the idea of the UI, I went in not getting my hopes up. I wasn't going, oh my gosh, this is going to be the next biggest thing. Like, holy cow, I can't wait. The game's going to be AAA after this UI's input. I didn't go into that with idea. I know there are people in the community who did feel that way. I do feel there may be the Omeda hyped it up a little too much, maybe, but I also countered myself. I made sure I was controlled for that, right? And I hope I would wish that the community would be able to do the same thing. But then I guess that's also on Omeda as well, to try to maybe figure out where to hype and where not to hype. That'd be my best feedback for you guys in this situation. Try not to hype up something. Like, to you guys, the littlest thing and like the little code, like, hey, we coded, we did this, we figured out the spaghetti code. It's no longer spaghetti code. It's awesome, right? And you guys hyped it up like, oh my god, we did all this, and it's like then the game we put the patch in, it's like it looks the same. Well, we don't see all the coding on the back, right? So it's kind of like certain things you figure out where to hype and where not to hype. I guess it would be something to learn from there.
How many comments have, like, I'm mostly for the other creators, but like how many comments have you guys gotten this week of like people watching your gameplay and being like, I thought there was a new UI, this is the same? Have you guys gotten any? I
have not gotten the same, but no. I only played
I've gotten 20 plus people who like pop into my stream. They're like, I thought it was a new UI. Like, this looks the exact same. And I'm like, yeah, no, not in game. Like, I don't know if that wasn't made clear. Like, I understood that, but I don't know if that was like not clear enough or what.
Well, I'll tell you, it was made clear on the Predcast, but we do get those questions often because I guess just because of lack of knowledge or lack of research by people, right? They'll just go based off of the one Twitter post that they see or the one Facebook post, Instagram post, etc. And they'll just be like, hey, well, UI is changing, right? This is the UI update. And I've had people
telephone.
Yeah, or like yesterday.
You told somebody, then that person told somebody, and that person told somebody, and they come back to you with 4 people come back to you later, like, oh, you said
totally different
no,
sentence.
That's not what I said. Something like that. Like, you get information like that too as well.
Yeah, and
I mean, I would just agree. There's learnings to be made. There's regarding communications, right? Like even if you look at the roadmap, it says new UI, it doesn't say explicitly new menu UI, right? Like there are, I think there are lots of areas where you're like, damn, how did we miss that, right? Like, well, how did we not see that was going to be an issue? And yeah, like I just think it's super important to see them and accept that and learn. I definitely think that we can get better there. And like some of that's on me, right? Like, so I wrote some of that text, right? Like, so been writing it since season 2, and it's definitely like one of the hardest things, right? Because you're on the wrong side of it. You're writing it from the perspective where you have too much knowledge, and you're trying to write it for someone who has none, and you're not sure what you're adding and missing, and that's just a learning thing, right? Like for me personally, right? Like, because that's like that kind of community engagement is pretty new, but like we're getting more and more experienced community managers coming on, so I like see that improving, and like you say, just learn from these where it worked with, and like certain things being quoted in Reddit posts and stuff, right? Like it's very clear, like what's causing the issues, what's causing the misunderstandings.
And to kind of touch on what Mr. Mez is saying in the chat, he's basically saying, yo, people got to read, right? But at the end of the day, I'm one of those
strong suit.
but I'll tell you, I'm one of those people that regardless of the game that it is, if I'm just scrolling through Twitter, I will see a post and it'll say, hey, new game mode. If I don't see enough detail or anything that intrigues me, I'm not gonna click on the link if I'm not immediately intrigued. It's like a YouTube thumbnail. I'll immediately just go next article, buy in the past, right? So there has to be enough detail in the forefront to make it clear, because a lot of people will just look at that forefront article and never go into the website. They'll never go into the Discord. They'll never go and look up a YouTube video. You know how many people I saw on Twitter retweeting the roadmap? Console's coming the 12th, let's go! And I'm like, that's not what they said, homie. Go read the patch.
Yeah. It's valid, right? Like it's super important. Like and definitely just so many things to improve on, and it's also about like how you communicate and stuff, right? Like so it's like breaking stuff down, doing it differently, separating tweets out for different issues, right? But lots of learnings to be made there. 100% agree.
All right, F6, I implore you to give us something that needs to be fixed with the UI that you think needs to be taken care of.
There's too much space in the main menu, and like pretty much like there's just too much space as in like a designer aspect from like doing like videos and like graphic design. You never want too much space because just
a lot of gaps.
So for me, it's just filling in those gaps. So like where the platinum is, there's way too much space. I think like there could be player modes by the play. If you go to like the play, you can just have the game modes there going down to fill up that space. There's a lot of space there. And then I think the front menu is fine. Like I said, I think it's just getting used to kind of thing, but obviously there's going to be people that don't agree with me, so probably like fixing that a little bit more maybe. But if you go to like the watch, when you look at your replays, it's kind of, you only see 2, and I feel like if you can just have like a select menu of like when your game was, like 1 day ago or 2 days ago, or like the specific date itself to search for it, because I do not want to scroll all the way down in all these games to try and find a replay if I knew it was like 2 days ago.
Or I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know you could scroll down there. There's no scroll bar or anything. I was just like, well, I guess I only see 4. Okay.
Yeah. So,
I just found out you could scroll. Okay.
I think it could be a little bit more interactive. And like I said, I think just the big thing for me was just the space up top and by like the play button area. So there's just more room for like stuff you can put in.
So before I forget, because I wanted to ask something earlier and I forgot. I literally forgot what it was. I'm sitting here racking my brain. All right, Alex, you said earlier that there's going to be times that there's going to be skins that the people just can't afford. All right, and one of the ways to counter that, but also still benefit you guys, and this is something I strongly stand behind, is a in-game currency. You guys only have platinum right now. You guys, obviously, that's a what kind of currency is that again? You got to buy that. It's a premium currency, right? An in-game currency would be perfect. And I don't care if I have to grind 10,000 hours, but the fact that I still played the game 10,000 hours, I now can able to get a skin, right? Whatever skin that might be. That is something you guys currently don't have. Is that like something? I mean, I guess you guys are talking about it, but like, I guess. Is that something we can get? Because I think that would help a lot of the people. Because I do know I'm one of the people that I got 2 kids and a wife, and I'm not able to sit here and just able to buy skins like crazy, right? Yeah. But I play the game. I'll give you guys my hours in time. Yeah, I'll give you my money in time, and I'm gonna support it. I'm gonna stream it. I'm gonna promote your game. That's something that it's like, you give me in-game currency, like just for me to come and play the game. Give me daily quests to do and get more in-game currency that way, so I can purchase skins and rep your game even more. I think that's something you guys are missing out on right now entirely.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it is missing, right? And I think you can like quote me from the monetization video 9 months ago. Like, we want to have options for free-to-play players, or basically the access of skins through without paying, through investing time. What that looks like when that's coming, like, it's being discussed, but yeah, right now it's not something that we have like that we're coming to, but it will be there. It needs to be there. It'll probably be there for free to play. Whether that will be the final version of it, whether we'll add lots of ways, but it's like a really important aspect of these games. Like it's also used as like conversion features and other free to play games. But yeah, like they're valuable assets that people care about, and that they're really good ways to reward people for that time investment. So there will be ways to earn skins for free.
Perfect.
Whether that's every skin, it's very unlikely.
No, I don't.
And yeah, like the agency, but yeah, like it's something we want to support. And it's not just skins, right? That's like other cosmetics, like things like the recall and the jump pads, right? I'm hoping to expand that system, and these are like more, like cosmetics that are really easy to give away for accomplishments as opposed to purchases, right? So yeah, we'll definitely be iterating on that, and then we'll listen to feedback and iterate more, right? So yeah, it needs to come.
Perfect. Yeah, no, and I'm not asking for all skins to be that way. Having exclusive skins obviously is a good business choice. There was actually somebody in the last Predcast on YouTube, somebody made a comment about it and said it's actually a toxic business thing. I disagree with it. I just think it's a business, it's just business. Windu made the point of it a few shows ago, and it might have actually been on the Fall Partner panel. I've been with this guy for a while now. He made a point about you have your restaurants, you have your large cup, you got your small cup, and you got your medium cup, and that medium cup is actually where
that was Predcast. Yeah.
Predcast, all right, and you technically the people will settle for the medium cup.
The medium cup dictates the actual perspective of the customer.
Yep.
If you have the base skin, let's say for example at the $6, the premium skin at $25. If the mid-level skin is $16, you know what? That $25 doesn't look that fucking bad, to be honest with you.
Right.
That's only another $9. But at the same time, if it's closer to, let's say 11, the middle cup, then at that point it's like, 11 is a good deal, 6 is a good deal, 25 way too fucking expensive. So it's basically the middle cup that determines. And now here it gets a little bit trickier because there's different tiers, right? We can go all the way up to like tier 3, tier 4 skins, etc. down the road, right? So it'll get a little bit convoluted as it goes, and then as the tiers distinguish themselves. But in its own, having that middle cup be your biggest strength is also going to lead to more sales in the direction that you want to lead sales by.
Right. Yeah. So, but anyway, that was my point with the situation. Like, you're going to have, people aren't always going to they're not going to buy the large cup, right? Not always going to be that situation. So just giving them the ability to get something, with that free currency is just better. Like, I played Fortnite for my time being that I played it, and I never bought a skin. it wasn't until my son started playing it that I was buying skins here and there, and I still haven't buy a lot. But like I didn't put money into Fortnite. It was a free to play game. I played it. I earned the skins that I earned. That was it. I didn't buy anything. So, and that's just the way I've always been. So, but you're gonna have gamers, frugal gamers like me. Then you're gonna have gamers that just can't afford it, and then you're gonna have gamers that like you're like Windu that's gonna download your game just because I saw that skin. I gotta have that skin, and maybe not even play it.
Yeah, I still go buy Smite skins every time they get released, and I never play Smite.
Yep.
Like somebody like Jolster in chat was making fun. It's like, yo, Windu already spent his platinum, and I bought more, and I spent it. And like I was saying, it's like, yo, I didn't want to buy that skin for that price, but I really want the skin, and I want to support. So it's like, you know what? I'm gonna wear the fucking skin, bro. Like that's where you're not gonna stop me. I'm gonna have that skin in the game. Everything will get ironed out down the road, but you're definitely gonna see me with the spice in the middle of the map, for sure. But all right, guys, let's do this actually, because
we gotta call it.
We can literally sit here and talk forever. Alex at this point is literally running on reserve battery by all means, and we're literally draining his reserve that he's gonna need for tomorrow. He's got family, kids, etc. Right? So let's do this. Let's do our quick little outros. If anybody does have any questions that we missed, anything that you guys want to hit, please, after the fact, we are gonna post this on YouTube. Leave a comment down below. First of all, throw a GG in there to let us know that you made it this far. But on top of that, if you got any questions, any concerns, anything, type it in there. Everybody here in the Predcast is very active in the comments. We try to have conversations, dialogues, certain topics that we do bring up in future episodes and such. So please make sure that you do so. But let's go ahead and do our outros in the same order that we introduced ourselves. I know F6 had to go at 10:30. But if anything, we'll do a quick little shout out for him right before we leave. But in the same order that we introduce ourselves, go ahead and tell people where they can find you, your socials, how they interact with you, what you got going on as far as like, personal projects, anything like that, just to kind of, let them know what you're up to.
So I guess that's me, right? So Alex, lead game designer. I am on Twitter. I think you can feel free to at me. It's Omeda_Alex. Outside of that, I am not really directory contactable, but I am paying attention, and I definitely get feedback. So we'll see the comments, we'll see the conversations on the main Discord. So yeah, we're always listening. There's a whole team of people caring about that stuff and providing me very clear and concise reports and stuff, as well as myself just sitting down and watching Predcast when it finally uploaded to YouTube. So because I can't unfortunately make the live episodes.
Understandable. Yeah. I don't expect you Europeans to come over here and listen to it at live times. All right, I get it, but we do appreciate the support on the YouTube side.
No, and this stuff is really great for us. So like that's why we're here. That's why we're doing it, right? Like we didn't want to go into early access to not interact with the community and listen. So yeah, please keep engaging. We are listening, and we're trying to iterate in the best way possible. So yeah, thanks.
I see, and thank you for being here with all that.
Thanks for coming on. I'm Pinzo. I stream daily. I upload YouTube videos daily. I'm at Pinzo on all platforms. Best way to get a hold of me is on Discord. It's probably the best way. You can always hit me up on Twitter as well. I'm pretty active, so you guys can always find me there. But those are the best places to find me. I'll be here on Predcast next week.
And let's add to that, you don't just stream daily, full-time content creator. Literally, you streamed what is it? Yesterday you streamed 9 hours straight?
I streamed for 9 hours yesterday. It was a lot. That's a lot more than I would like to stream on a daily basis, but it was patch day, so I don't mind.
Yeah, well, if anything, worth mentioning, if you guys ever want to see one of the Predcast members on a consistent basis, like for example, Bearded and I usually get on after work, so we're usually 7 p.m. Eastern type of players, you know what I mean? You're trying to watch somebody while you're at work, Pinzo's your guy, F6 is often in there throughout the middle of the day as well. So definitely check them out throughout, because they are available. We'll always answer questions. We'll always answer comments, whether you tag us on Twitter or whatever it may be. Make sure you check out the homie. Bearded?
Yeah, you'll get to see Pinzo without having fighting with F6, then you get to see F6 without him fighting with Pinzo. It's a good situation. But then you come back to the Predcast, you watch them fight together, and it's a good situation. It's a win-win for everybody, so keep that up. As for myself, Alex, again, thanks for showing up. I mean, not rating all of our guests that we've had on, but Robbie and Steve were great, and you're right up to the top there as well. All the devs coming out, but the information we're able to get from you guys, it's insane. Like I'm sitting here, I'm just a mid-tier player, but like coming out here listening to you, Robbie, Steve, Import, all of them. I'm sorry, I'm missing some devs right now, and I feel bad. But like Bloodlust,
Demande, Import, Blood Mortius, etc.
Blood Mortius, yeah. Demande.
This goes on. J-Sheds,
yeah. Demande with the controller information. Like we got so much information from you guys. It's been insane on the evolution of Predecessor and to understand the behind the scenes stuff that's going on. So we greatly appreciate you guys coming on here. I need you, since you're his boss, I need you to talk to Ray and get Ray on here. All right. I've already pinged him a few times. I need him to come here. All right. So do what you got to do to get him on here. Then I'll get your whole team in here and we'll work on that. But as for myself, I stream Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday is kind of an iffy spot right now because my nephew is playing football, so I try to get his football games whenever I can. I try to fill that in with a Friday, possibly. Last Friday I didn't do it because I spent time with the family. Friday, Saturday, Sunday is family time. So we'll see what Thursday brings here in the future while football season's going on. But other than that, you can catch me on Twitter or X or Zeet or whatever you want to call that damn thing. T_B_Wolverine. I am on Thread. I think I'm the Beard Wolverine on Thread, but I haven't paid attention to that thing. Nothing's happened with Thread, so it is whatever.
It was hype for 2 days for sure.
Yeah, it was. That's pretty much it. Enough to make me create an account, and then I never touch it. Again, appreciate all of you as a community, guys. Please leave a comment in the YouTube version as well. I love having the conversations with you guys. I get the notifications pretty quickly, and I try to talk back as soon as I can. So leave those comments. We definitely appreciate the algorithm and help that boost up there. The numbers are looking great over there as well. We love seeing the climb. And on to you, Windu.
I see. And yeah, I just want to say, good to be back. To be real with you, back in the Predcast, doing the videos and everything, bro.
Having you back.
Appreciate it, fam. And again, thank you, Alex, for being here, man. Like especially now knowing that you got the whole baby situation going on, my dude. Yo, you're a soldier, bruh. I really appreciate the hustle and the honest sacrifice that you're making to your sleep deprivation by being here.
That's a good one. I appreciate being here, man, and it's like I love what you guys are doing. I can't help but like want to get involved when I see all the other devs doing it and stuff. And it's like I feel like I can bring some context that is lost, right? Like in our communications, and I have some answers that others weren't able to give. So I'm really glad we got to talk about it. I feel like we covered a lot of topics, and maybe there's more. So I'm happy to discuss doing it again in the future. Like I don't want to just disappear into the ether again, right? Like I think it can be really helpful to engage like this. So I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and chat about it, man.
Yeah, sure, fam. We'll definitely have you on. And before I forget, real quick, shout out to Stegs and his team. Those two last videos that he posted, great videos. They're doing a great job. Probably the best hero release video we've had yet. It's up there. It's definitely a great job on their team doing that.
I'm gonna say it's my favorite hero release video. But okay. I will say, and I caught just because I caught Bearded saying this earlier, and like I caught his reaction earlier. I really do appreciate your honesty, Alex, because every single time that we bring up a competitor, oftentimes the answer that we do get is, well, we know we're there, but we're not really paying attention. We're kind of doing our own thing. You're probably one of the only people that it's actually just straight up upfront admit it. It's like, yeah, we're watching, we're learning. Like it'd be dumb not to. 100%. By all means. And I caught Bearded with that. Thank you when you were talking in there, bro. But yeah, just I appreciate the honesty. And at the end of the day, it's all business, right? Like we want to help this business succeed as creators, because of course as creators we all benefit at the end a little bit as well also, but at the same time it is a project that we all support and everything. So we really do appreciate the community support, coming in here live, asking questions, fueling the conversation, so to speak. We appreciate all the conversations after the fact on YouTube. Again, guys, we do post these live We host these live on Bearded Wolverine's Kick channel. Usually every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We post these after the fact on YouTube the next morning or afternoon, right about noon usually is when we post them. And you guys can watch it after the fact there. We got timestamps. Everything is going to be properly, compressed. We'll try to do as best of a job for you guys as we continue moving down the road. But we appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm Windu.
1 second. F6, you can check him out, Twitch and Kick. He streams live, Twitch and Kick. Also, you can also check him out on the Prime Championship circuit. He does the what's the word? At the desk. Telecasting. Yep, he does the telecasting for them. So make sure you check him out there as well. You can Prime Championship circuit on Twitch and also on Twitter. So check him out there. Make sure you go show them love. But yes, this is Windu.
Spicy. And I'm Windu. Appreciate you guys being here. And just look up Windu the Mace literally anywhere. It could be Twitter, it could be Facebook, it could be Instagram, it could be YouTube. You'll find every single one of my channels, even some that I probably don't want you to find that are a little bit more random. You'll find everything if you search for Windu the Mace. But again, I appreciate all of you. We appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for the devs for the involvement, and we will catch you on the next one. What's up, homies? Peace.
Peace.
Bye.
Yeah.